Z and younger millennials, you have been really lied to and misled. I will say this, a barnstorm of misinformation by a biased media, by your universities, and by this current Biden-Harris administration. There's really lied about President Trump, our party, and what we really stand for, and it has to stop. And really the big lie that I've seen across America is this. They are trying to tell you that you can have socialism. For young people, the American dream is really pretty simple. You know, when you get out of college in your mid-to-late 20s, you want to be financially independent, and that is now a dream that is too far scarce. Right now, we have 50% of young people in the United States of America that had to go back and live with mom and dad because of skyrocketing rents and socialized everything to where inflation is skyrocketing, and we have to bring it to a stop. It's time. When I was young, it's changed so much. When I was young, and I got out of college, my apartment was about 20% of the average salary of a young person. Today, it's 40%. When I bought my first home in the mid-90s, the average home was about 3 times the amount of the average salary. Now the average home is 6 times the average salary. How did we get here? When I think back at how we got here, really what we did is we just bought lives over and over for year after year. And what's happened is, we're now the party of common sense. They're trying to make common sense look radical. But let me ask you folks, when's the last time, and why is it, that just asking the federal government to have a budget, keep a budget, and maybe cut a few expenses, when did that become radical? When did it become radical to say, hey, we want to prioritize the American worker over someone here illegally? When did that become radical? And culturally, when did it become radical to look a man in the eye and say, you can no longer compete in women's sports? When did that become radical? And you can no longer use your bathroom either. When did that become radical? Things have changed, but I'm telling you right now, it's time, because America's looking for something different. You know, George, it's so great to be with you tonight, because this is really home for me. I was born here in the mid-90s. I met my wife here. I was married here. I bought my first home here. I started my family here. That American dream started for me right here. Then I went on and I've owned businesses in Dallas, Texas. I pastored a church in Dallas. But the biggest thing I do is I'm a husband and my father of 5 kids, 14 to 24. And I'm fighting for them. I ran for the office of president with this message in mind for the next generation. That we need an economic and we need a spiritual revival in our country for them to survive. And we need that revival right now. And President Trump is carrying that banner so high for that revival, and we have to put him back in the office. So young people, as you're on your college campuses and you go out to vote, you need to ask yourself a few questions and ask your friends a few questions about what you want out of our country. And I'm asking you to think about this. Do you want a country that puts America first or puts America last? Because there's only one candidate that puts America first, and that's Donald Trump.
Yo!
Do you want a nation that's built on socialism or that's built on capitalism? Because there's only one candidate that's voting for capitalism, and that's Donald Trump. And lastly, it says,
what did they say about New York?
God back in our country.
I don't know.
What did they say about New York?
New York, I waited at the minute.
Lots of minutes.
And then 10 minutes later, 15.
Same that I say you waited.
No, I waited. What they did is, you probably, because I told them to send me, they probably gave you a discount because you I paid.
Wow.
So like, say if I said you do his nails, you do mine free if he pays.
God bless you. God bless you.
Yeah! Found the seat by yourself.
Thiệt là đầm luôn á.
You would have found the seat by yourself, right? Like you
I guess the last one was turning one actually. It's actually the fourth one.
Give it up for Jeff Van Heerden.
Woo!
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What an exciting time to be here tonight. At this Turning Point USA. I'm John Van Heerden, this is my son Jeff. From Sambrosa.com, a sleep-aid company. Today we are standing at a crucial time in our nation's history. What we need now is strong and fearless leaders. Leaders that care about getting back to our Christian values. Honor the strong families, hard workers, and people who tell the truth. We need leaders who will fight for our health, fight for our rights, and most of all, and more importantly of all, fight for our children's safety. I can think of one leader who fits this role perfectly. Donald J. Trump. As a company, we are rooted in principles that guide us towards the mission greater than ourselves.
Just spoke.
To help end child trafficking, we are pledging a minimum of 10% of all our profits to this cause. Because God's children are not for sale. We support President Donald Trump because he's the kind of strong leader, no matter what he faces, including being shot in the face, being assassinated, being ridiculed. He's resolute, standing strong for every American here. He fights for our values we believe in. And that's why we are proud to be one of the main sponsors of this event. But let's be honest. The fear of votes not being counted rightly can keep you awake at night. And that's where we come in. Yeah. And we are not Big Pharma. Sambrosa.com is family-owned and family-operated. And we only believe in carrying the highest quality products that are non-addictive and that are non-habit forming. Our product is made from honey, 7 organic herbs, and a small dose of antihistamine, designed to help you relax and get you the rest you need and deserve. But I do gotta be upfront with you. There is one side effect that most of you all will probably experience.
Vote for Trump!
And that's the solid 8 hours of rest. We're so confident in Sambrosa that if you guys scan the QR code that was on the screen before, we will send you all a free 10-night supply bottle on us. And that's our way of saying thank you for showing up here today. There is absolutely no reason for any of you to lie awake at night worrying about the world's issues. We've got you covered. And when you support us, just remember, you're not just buying a good night's rest. You're also helping in the fight to stop all child trafficking.
Yeah! Yo!
So please, enjoy the sample and enjoy the show. And remember, Sambrosa will be right here to make America sleep great again.
Yes! Woo!
God bless America, and God bless you all. And God bless Donald J. Trump.
Woo!
Wow, đông em. Đông không? Đông lắm.
Yeah. The food.
When I hold gold in my hand, it feels right. I wrote no mark.
You're in the car.
I would, yeah. That's the thing. I have a deep fear that globalist bankers may target individual consumers just because they're conservative. That's why I think we need the safety of gold. There's only one man who can save this country. That's Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is going to be the nominee. He was a terrific president. I'm honored to call him a friend. And we have to get him back in the White House, period.
Put your hands together for Alexander Spillane.
Woo!
You came to see Donald Trump tonight. Say, fight! Fight!
Fight! Fight! Fight! Fight! Fight!
What a crowd, Ron. I've never spoken in front of this many people. This is amazing. Give yourselves a round of applause, please.
Woo!
My name is Alexander Spillane, the founder and CEO of Fisher Capital. I want to give a special thank you to Charlie Kirk. Any Charlie Kirk fans in the building?
Yeah!
You know, it's just crazy to see how much this has grown. We've been sponsoring Turning Point for about 3 years now. And we've been the largest corporate sponsor for the past 3 years. And I've never seen a turnout like this. So this is incredible. But I am here to share an important message with you. So, you know, it's crazy to think how the left is just selling this country out. Did anybody see the James O'Keefe movie, Line in the Sand? Anyone see that? Good. And when you look at the numbers and you see how much the government has given away, it's just crazy to think. I was with Rudy Giuliani yesterday. We did an interview on my podcast. And we talked about what they're doing in New York City, giving $53 million in prepaid cards for illegal immigrants. You guys, I'm with my tribe. I love being here. So, with that being said, at the end of the day, I'm concerned whether Donald Trump becomes president or not. What are we going to do about this debt crisis? And that is exactly where we have been strong to help people diversify their savings against those worst-case scenarios. We are a precious metals company, and what we do is we help people hedge against those worst cases where, let's say, your tyrannical government wants to take your money. Who saw the FBI reports that they're targeting keywords like MAGA, Bass Pro Shops, and maybe even Turning Point USA? And they're targeting you based on your political conservative beliefs. Guys, we've got to get this right. My message is very simple. It's about the importance of voting with your wallet. At the end of the day, you have a right to choose where you spend and save your money, right? We have a right to take control of our finances, don't we? Yeah. Okay. So, I want to just thank all of you for being here. I'm really excited to see Donald Trump speak. The last event we did with Donald Trump, the New York Times actually did an article about us, and they said they came to see Trump, but first they had to hear a pitch about gold and silver. Do you guys think that's a bad thing? No? You know, it's funny, I never even talked about gold. I really just feel like right now we're at a turning point, literally, where it's more important now than ever. And you know what the comments in this New York Times article said? They said it's a MAGA grift. Every dollar that Fisher Capital makes probably goes to Donald Trump. That's pretty close because a portion of all our proceeds for the past 3 years have gone to Turning Point USA.
Yeah!
Pretty proud to say that. So do you guys feel like you're getting grifted right now? Get your money's worth? All right. So, how do you guys feel about where the economy is right now? Do you guys have some concerns?
Yeah.
I know. It's pretty concerning. If you hold gold, you decouple yourself from third-party and counterparty risk because we saw these banks fail back in 2008. I don't know what stops them from failing again, but right now you have an ability to take back control of your money and get yourself protected. I don't know any of my clients who feel grifted considering gold is up 40% in the last year, so is silver. So our clients are doing really well, and I want to just thank you guys again for being here and allowing me to share that message with you.
Woo!
Let's hear it one more time for Donald Trump. Say fight!
Fight! Fight! Fight! Fight! Fight! Fight! Fight! Fight! Woo!
Đẹp quá, sân khấu làm đẹp dễ sợ không? Phối hợp từ cái màu á, từ nhóm này nhóm trẻ nên nó có những cái ý tưởng không?
This economy is tough. Hardworking people throughout America are being crushed financially. And it's even more challenging for those burdened with student loan debt, an unbearable load that destroys families, relationships, and even futures. So we decided to do something about it. I'm Lane Schulman, Chief Investment Officer and co-founder of Y-Refund. Every day, our team is determined to provide an open door, the way to free, smart, hardworking Americans from the challenge of student debt, giving them a way to repay with dignity, and helping them move forward. And it's working.
On my resign, Tatum spoke to me, and she listened, and she was, the first person to really hear my story. Ryan had a
So right now my grade is in the high 70s, which I never thought I'd be able to.
We went from paying over $1,000 a month to $560 a month for a 10-year refinance. But there's not a lot of companies out there like Y-Refund. There's a million Americans out there that need you.
Do well by doing good. That is our mantra.
We invite you to join this movement and invest in their future and your future as a Y-Refund investor and change maker.
We're entrepreneurs and innovators who believe in capitalism and the American dream. We decided we're not going to build a company burdened by institutional debt. We know we built something special as we continue to earn endorsements from well-respected and talented people. We take this seriously and we're grateful for your support and investment in Y-Refund. Because we all know there's a better way. We know there's a huge need out there. Now, it's time to meet the need and unlock more opportunity. Let's succeed together.
Now, let's put our hands together and welcome the
Giới thiệu
ladies.
với thầy cô về quảng cáo vậy đó là bỏ tiền vô rồi quảng cáo.
Cứ vậy thôi.
Đại diện là đứng nói chuyện thôi. Người ta lại giúp ích cho nước Mỹ. Cái company này.
This amazing Make America Great Again rally for conservative, capitalist, American patriots.
Woo!
Thank you.
Yeah!
Thank you for having me. My name is Lane Schulman, Chief Investment Officer, founding partner of Y-Refi. And you've probably seen our commercials. Maybe you've heard the endorsements from Charlie, Kurt, Larry, Sean, Hannity, Clay and Buck. And we are very serious. We take those endorsements very serious. No, what we do at Y-Refi is we are changing lives and saving lives. And a lot of people don't understand what that really looks like. So let me just share with you. This country has a massive problem right now. It's called the student loan debt crisis, right? $1.8 trillion. And we can thank our federal government for most of that. Okay? Here's the thing. As you may know, student loans are bankruptcy protected. They are almost impossible to get out of. There's always a conversation about forgiveness, usually to buy votes. In our world, we don't deal with the federal student loans. That's a whole other animal. We're going to focus on one small segment, the private student loans that are out there. These borrowers that went into distress, meaning they're behind on their payments. They're not making them because they can no longer afford them. They have a variable interest rate, likely hitting somewhere north of 20%, and in whatever state they live in, likely hitting usury, maximum usury. They can no longer afford it. It is crushing them, it is crushing their families. 70% of these folks, they have a co-borrower. So mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, they co-sign that loan with them. It is ripping these families' lives apart. It's very, very unfortunate. I cannot tell you the stories that I have heard where these borrowers are actually talking about committing suicide because they do not have any options. And multiple times we've had borrowers tell us, you probably saved my life. And thank goodness we were here to do that. So at the end of the day, we have come up with a thank you It is fun to watch these borrowers win. So at the end of the day, what are we doing? Well, we created a custom tailored loan package built around that borrower's flexibility to pay. We give them a low fixed interest rate, a custom term. Okay? Now, a lot of people get very confused because you've probably heard on our commercials that as an investor, you're going to pay a 10.25% fixed interest rate. But we're going to charge our borrower 3.9 on average. How's that work, Lane? Well, we're settling and paying off that debt at a deep discount. That's how we do it. We're sharing our profits with our investors, not to the detriment of the borrowers. So I encourage you to take some time and check out invest.yrefi.com, learn more. Let me just share with you a little bit about the investment opportunity, because here's what's really important and why we do what we do. We have turned down countless offers for institutional capital. We do not want institutional capital, mostly because it's generally corrupt institutional capital. We're not interested, okay? Which means, okay, we gotta raise our money somehow. So there's a rule out there called Regulation D, okay? With the Securities Exchange Commission, we can raise capital through private investors like you. So if you're asking yourself, why is this guy up here? What are we going to do to support this company? The answer is, look into yrefi.com. I'm sorry, that's yrefi. yrefi.com is the borrower site. So look into this, okay? They're accredited investors. Okay, you pick the duration of your investment from 1 to 5 years. And on a 5-year investment, well, you get 10.25% fixed interest. We calculate interest daily, we make monthly payments of interest only, and at the end of your term, you get your money back, right? So it works very well. You have all kinds of flexibility and options. We ask you to just give us a call. There's not enough time up here for me to explain it in finite detail, so we'd love to explain it to you over the phone, answer any questions you have. And if you're ever in the Phoenix metro area, please come by and see us. We'd love to have investors, potential investors, come in. Okay, come in, meet the team, hear the stories. Come out on the borrower forum. We're talking to these individuals. These callers, they call in, they're scared, they're nervous, they're upset, they're embarrassed, they're crying. They need our help. And the only way this country is going to fix the student loan debt crisis is by getting on top of it through capitalism, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And that right there is why we're fighting. So what I'm asking you to do, take a minute, look this up, call and ask any questions you want. We'd love to share and learn more about what we are doing, how we can help you. I'm going to wrap up with this. God bless America. God bless Donald Trump. And please let us win this election. We need this so bad. Get this country.
rồi á, hay rồi á.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Dr. Jensen Franklin.
And I became a pastor, pastored the only church I've ever pastored, a church called Free Chapel. I'm originally from North Carolina, and I met my wife in Stone Mountain and kissed her at Stone Mountain for the first time. I love Georgia. How many of you are thankful? Well, we're going to pray in just a moment. But I want to tell you a quick story of how I kind of got involved and tell you a little bit about what I found out about President Trump. I've known him now for several years and had meals with him and talked with him for hours. And all of that happened the first time that I went to Trump Tower by his invite with a group of pastors. And as I heard him, the more I heard him, the more I realized he cared about people of faith. He cared about our churches. He cared about our Bible. He cared about, the thing I appreciated and loved about him is he never pretended to be something he was not. He even let some cuss words out while he was talking to a group of preachers. because he's not a fake. What you see is what you get. He does what you see. This is who I am. And he tells you what he means, not what you want to hear.
Hay quá.
And yet, I watched him in meeting after meeting after meeting in the White House as he would go around the room and listen to pastors and preachers and people of
Nếu
faith.
xem cầm cái phone là nó rung.
And when he heard truth, he would tend to move toward it. And I'm so thankful tonight that that bullet didn't kill President Donald Trump. And I believe that the thing that saved his life, he gives a little bit of credit to that chart, but he gives a lot of credit, all the credit, to God Almighty. And, you know, we left all of our denominational labels out in the parking lot. We've gathered under one name, the name of Jesus Christ in this room. And I ask you now, if you would, to pray with me. When Jesus was asked, how should we pray? He said, if you want to cover your nation, if you want to cover your family, if you want to cover your marriage, your children, your children's children, the future generations. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm in this fight. We're fighting for the freedom and the faith and growing up in a free nation for our children and our children's children. And Jesus said, if you want to know how to pray in the perfect will of the Father, pray like this. And if you don't know the Lord's Prayer, it's okay. We got you covered. And you'll recognize little pieces in it. And when we say it, it takes 24 seconds to pray the whole prayer, and you cover everything in your life. So pray it with us and jump in on the parts you know. And if you don't, just kind of mumble. God sees your heart, and he loves you tonight. Would you pray with me, everyone, in unison, the Lord's Prayer? Let's invite God's presence into America and into Georgia and into this election. You can call me a Christian nationalist. I am a Christian, and I love America. Let's pray. Our Father, which art in heaven. Come on, everybody. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Would you give the Lord
mọi người xem nè. Ai bạn trẻ. Tuyệt vời nha mọi người. Tuyệt vời.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for our national anthem.
Cô ra đọc á.
Through the
Hands together for She Van Fleet.
Quý vị thấy không, người Korea nè, tất cả những cái business đó họ ủng hộ cho camera.
I'm an immigrant, a legal immigrant. I have an important message. I have lived through two Marxist cultural revolutions. One I lived through in China more than 50 years ago, and one right here in America with the rest of you. I grew up during the Chinese Cultural Revolution, and believe me, I've seen a world turned upside down. Mao's Red Guard destroyed the entire Chinese Cultural Revolution, Chinese civilization. The Red Guards were the tens of millions of indoctrinated youths, from elementary school all the way to college. They tore down statues, they renamed streets and roads, and they renamed institutions and even their personal names to enforce the political correctness. They burned books, they terrorized communities. I saw friends turn against friends, neighbors against neighbors, co-workers against co-workers, wives against husbands, and the children against their parents. Does any of this sound familiar? They destroyed everything that united us as a people, our shared tradition and history. Anyone suspected of holding unapproved views was condemned and labeled as a counter-revolutionary, the Chinese version of a racist. I saw the so-called enemy of the people being demonized just like the MAGA here in America. My entire memory of the Cultural Revolution can be summed up with one word: chaos. Think about Minneapolis in 2020. 30 years ago, I escaped the nightmare of communism and came to America in search of freedom.
Woo! Yep.
Behind for good. I was convinced that freedom in America was a given. As most of the immigrants, I focused on achieving my American dreams and paid very little attention to politics. It was President Trump who woke me up, and I began to realize that the freedom is not a given. It can slip through our finger at any time. I decided to take action. In 2021, I went to the Loudoun County School Board and delivered a 1-minute speech comparing the critical race theory to the divisiveness of the Chinese Cultural Revolution. The video went viral and my message started to get out.
Yeah.
I have seen our country become more and more like the communist China I left behind. For those who still consider Kamala as a choice, and for those who still haven't made up your mind, please listen to someone who actually lived through the communism. Here is my message. Today we are facing a choice for ourselves and for the future generation. On the ballot is the choice between communism and freedom. I was able to escape communism by coming to America. If America falls, there's no place for any of us. Vote as if your life depends on it, because it does.
Whoa! Yeah! Go! Woo! Yeah! Whoa! Whoa! Whoa!
Thấy tao, thấy tao nói chuyện chưa?
Now, let's hear it for Jenny Beth Martin.
Go!
Get out the vote for him. Our super PAC, Tea Party Patriot Citizens Fund, is doing just that. And if you're interested in the work that we're doing, you can go to winelectionsga.com. And if you're watching and you're not from Georgia, just go to winelections.com. The reason that I'm so determined to make sure that Donald Trump is president again is because of our border. I've been to the border so many times over the last decade, and Donald Trump is serious about making sure that we have a lawful border and that it is secure once again.
Woo!
This year, it really hit home for us in Georgia, didn't it? Those of us who are graduates from UGA were very alarmed. Go Dogs! We were very alarmed when we heard there was a student missing on the campus of our alma mater. I was alarmed because parents my age have kids in school there right now, and my children have friends in school at UGA. Later in the day, we learned that it was Laken Riley who was missing, and ultimately we learned she had died. And that was so troublesome. And then I learned she was from my county. She's from Cherokee County. And I learned that she went to my children's elementary school. And the year before they were in first grade, she had the same first grade teacher as they did. She wrote a letter, or a note, in first grade. The first grade Laken Riley said, "When I grow up, I want to be a nurse because it helps people get better, and it looks very fun to help people. For working, I will make $100,000. I will not be married. I will stay with my family until I die. I would like to live in Florida. Florida is lots of fun, and the ocean and the pool is there."
It's Florida.
Laken was living her dream. She was working in nursing school to become a nurse so she could help people. And because of the lawlessness that Biden and Harris have at the border, with a wide open border, her killer was allowed to come into this country completely unvetted, to go to New York and be released from custody, to come to Georgia and ultimately to take her life. It was senseless and preventable. We can't do anything at all to stop the pain that her family is suffering from. And we should pray for them because they're facing Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's for the first time without her by their side. But what we can do is work in her memory to make sure that other families across this country don't suffer the same way they have. President Trump will seal the border and he will deport the people who have entered this country.
Woo! Yep.
Cái con rồi nó túi bên hông đi. Cầm kìa.
Make sure you do everything you can and honor her memory. And you can go to willyourdaughterbenext.com to see a video we've done honoring her and Samantha Daly and other women who have been killed by illegal immigrants in this country. Let's do all we can in the next 13 days to make sure that Donald Trump is the next president, that Republicans control the House and Republicans control the Senate. Thank you.
Chiếu con trai đây đi.
Ladies and gentlemen, special announcement. If you are up in the concourse areas, we need you to make your way in the room and to your seats. Once again, if you are in the concourse areas, please make your way into the room and find your seats.
Rồi hết rồi đó, nó vô nhạc đó. Đây, bye mọi người đi. Mọi người đắt tụi tiệm lại nha.
Yeah. Ok mọi người, tạm chia tay mọi người ở đây nha. Chút xíu nữa Tổng thống ra nói chuyện này mình sẽ livestream tại nha quý vị. Yeah. Let's go. Lớp quý vị nha, được như vậy này mới ngồi như vậy quý vị. Thank you. Tuyệt vời lắm, rất là đông. Quý vị thấy là mọi người nè, sân khấu đông nha. Yeah. Chút xíu nữa là lúc mà Tổng thống nói chuyện em sẽ livestream tiếp nha quý vị. Bye bye quý vị. Chứ không thôi là bị copyright á. Nhìn sân khấu nè, đẹp không? Sân khấu tuyệt vời luôn.
Once again, if you are on the concourse areas, please make your way into the room and locate your seats. You need to get everybody off the concourse and into the room.
Mọi người phải ngồi xuống, tụi tôi mới biết cái số lượng ghế còn bao nhiêu rồi, chúng tôi mới biết rồi đó. Mọi người phải tiếp sức cho rào đó. Mấy người speaker nãy là
Quý vị biết tại vì bây giờ ghế thì để trống mà mọi người cứ ra ngoài đó, họ chưa chịu vô đó. Thành ra bây giờ chờ set up cho fill up đó. Tuyệt vời không?
khán phòng hồi trước thì mấy ngàn người mà bây giờ là full rồi, còn nhiều người phía ngoài không có vô. Ổng quay anh quay ổng đi chứ còn quay em chứ.
Đặc biệt quý vị, hôm nay có Tucker Carlson nói chuyện
đi chung là ngồi đây nè.
Và gia đình của Tổng thống Trump tới ngồi ở đây nè quý vị, rất là đông. Tối này là speaker rất là good luôn á, nhiều speaker lắm. Muốn chia sẻ với quý vị.
Gia Tô đứng sau, ngồi sau lưng mình rồi. Để đi, Gia Tô sau lưng mình này để được.
Cô Gia Tô đâu rồi?
Ở đây trái hả đó.
Right there.
Once again, if you're in the concourse areas, please make your way into the room and locate your seats. You need to get everyone off the concourse area into the arena and in a seat. So please do that.
Để của mình để người ta phải biết được cái số lượng còn bao nhiêu.
Chào vô Nguyễn.
Còn đâu nó
Julie
ngoài
Hoàng.
chưa có vô.
Julie Hoàng.
Wow.
I wonder how many people are outside.
A 1 gajillion, probably. I'd say that's probably a good answer.
Chào cả nhà mình ơi. Cả nhà mình vô nha, vô coi và chia sẻ đi cả nhà ơi. Yeah. Hi mom. How are you? Hey daddy. How are you? Have a seat, daddy. Come on. Yes.
Thank you.
So take care of her. On this side. How are you doing? Yes, yes, daddy. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Very, very good.
Hôm nay á, mở nhạc này cho nên không sợ copyright này quý vị. Chứ thường mở mấy cái nhạc mà nhạc có tiếng với lại nhạc mà của mà
Good afternoon, Georgia.
Yeah.
It's great to be here. I'm Jacob Halberg, and I'm a refugee from the communist state of California.
Wow. Woo. Yo.
4 years ago, I decided to vote with my feet and move east. I chose liberty over looting, freedom over fanaticism, and winning over wokeness. That's what I found in Florida, and that's what I feel today here in Georgia.
Yo.
Politics can be complicated, but for me, it all comes down to something very simple. Trump puts America first, Kamala blames America first. Kamala literally said she wants all of us to be more woke. She divides us into tiny boxes and pits us against each other. Whites versus non-whites, rich versus poor, villains versus victims. And if you're in the wrong group, you'll be silenced, canceled, and demonized. If you want a border, you're xenophobic. If you want safe streets, you're systemically racist. If you want to choose what car you drive, you're a climate denier. If you want schools that focus more on math and less on pronouns, you're privileged. This is what the Democratic Party believes today.
Yes.
They gaslight you every day. It's insane. Their answer to everything is to blame you. My friends, our answer is that there's nothing wrong with us that we can't fix this November.
Yeah.
back in the White House where he belongs. Kamala Harris has left a wake of chaos and war everywhere behind us. Her weakness has pushed us to the foothills of World War III. She built a military that could fight transphobia, but not China. Under her watch, Iran will get nuclear weapons. That's the same Iran that just tried to assassinate President Trump and Mike Pompeo. She coddles Hamas and anti-Israel protesters that burn the American flag. She has criticized, undermined, and blamed Israel every step of the way while Israel fights for its survival. But in spite of Kamala, Israel is defeating Hamas and Hezbollah. And in 13 days, the Kamala Khamenei era of incompetence and terror will finally be over.
Yeah! Woo!
When President Trump first came into office, all the so-called experts said China was on an unstoppable path to overtaking us. Kamala's Blame America friends in the media were all excited, writing headlines about American decline and the dawn of a new Chinese century. But the experts never planned for one thing: President Donald J. Trump. The Trump tariffs hit China like a meteor, and China never recovered. President Trump's foreign policy gave a voice to all those who watched factories go on the auction block while China looted our economy. It gave a voice to the families who lost loved ones to China's fentanyl war on our country. And it reminded us all that survival at home means putting America first abroad. So I have a sincere question. When Kamala Harris says we're not going back, what part of the Trump years does she not want to go back to? The peace, the prosperity, the respect we had from our allies, the fear in our enemies' eyes?
Yeah.
The truth is that President Trump was right about everything, and everyone knows it.
Yeah. Woo!
I want to end on a personal note, as the Jewish grandson of 2 Holocaust survivors and as a former Democrat. My message to all those who feel abandoned by the Democratic Party is simple. You haven't changed, the Democratic Party has changed.
Yeah.
You feel abandoned because you have been. The raging anti-Semitism on college campuses and on the far left is not normal, and it's marbled in today's Democratic Party. This election is not about party labels, and it's not about whether we go left or right. It's about whether we go up or down. My friends, we have 13 days to give this movement all our help and all our heart. So Georgia, I ask you to stand with me and stand with President Trump. Let's go out and vote for Donald Trump on November 5th.
Yeah. Let's go! Woo! Go! Woo! Go!
I'm not going to vote for Trump.
Let's hear it for Chairman Georgia GOP. Hello, Georgia.
Hello.
Can you feel it?
Oh, I can.
Yeah.
13 days.
We can wait.
I'm hoping that Donald J. Trump, the 47th president.
Yeah! Woo! We can wait.
It's great to see everybody. I'm really happy that my wife Jacqueline is here today. I could not be chairman of the Georgia Republican Party without her. I love you. Thank you for being here. I'm also so grateful to our friends at Turning Point Action. They've been such wonderful allies in this fight over the last year to get us where we are on the precipice of victory. you know, I miss the old Democratic Party. That may be a weird thing to say here. I miss the Democratic Party that knew the difference between a man and a woman.
Yeah. Cool.
I miss the Democratic Party that joined with us in standing strong with the state of Israel.
Yeah.
So you have a choice to make between two Americas, two Georgias. We can choose one with less freedom. We can choose one where we say America's just going to recede into the background. Do you want to go to that America?
No!
Me either. I want to live in the America where a guy who had to drop out in the 8th grade to take care of his family went to fight in the Pacific in World War II, had a modest grocery store, and his grandson is standing here before you as chairman of the Georgia Republican Party. That's the America I want to live in. I want to live in an America where if you can dream it, you can do it. And you know who's going to deliver that America for us? A builder. A builder. Someone who built big, beautiful buildings. Someone who dreamed big dreams and lived them out. Someone who literally has gone through hell for us, been indicted for us, taken a bullet for us. Donald J. Trump.
Yeah! Woo! Let's go!
So I have a homework assignment. First thing, make some noise if you have already voted.
Còn cái cây quay đèn có áp cho tim. Nó làm một cái.
I need everyone here to grab as many of your friends and neighbors as possible and get them to make a plan and vote between now and November 1st at the end of early voting. Can you do that for me?
Yes!
If you do that, we're going to be able to spend more of our time, money, and resources on the people that we know are with us. If we get them into that ballot box, they're going to vote for Donald Trump. But it takes more time and more money. So when you vote early, you make it easier for us to win. Everybody in this room is going to get us to the 5-yard line. These folks that don't always vote are going to score the touchdown for us.
Yes.
So when we get out of here tonight, for the next 13 days, we're going to get on the phone, we're going to knock on doors, we're going to talk to people in the grocery store line, we're going to write no tax on tips, vote Trump on our receipts when we go to the restaurant. We're going to do whatever it takes, because this election is the most important election we've ever had. And when we look back on November 5th, you'll be able to say that you did your part to save America and unleash the greatest century in our history by making Donald J. Trump the 47th president of these United States.
Woo! Go! Woo! Eric Trump, Laura, Johnston, again, Laura Trump.
I'll take one. I can get you one. You need one? Cut off? Last one.
Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman
Mike Collins.
Yo!
Hello, Georgia!
Hello!
Wow, this must be the small rally that Kamala was talking about down.
Woo!
There's no way she could draw a crowd this big in Georgia, not even with a free concert. And by the way, Christ is King.
Yeah! Woo! Yo! Woo!
Christ is King. 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 I'm just a good old boy that made a living in the trucking business. Like Trump, I spent most of my career in the private sector. But I like to tell folks all the time, y'all, I'm extremely proud of one thing. Y'all, I bought my ticket on the Trump train long before he was a nominee in 2016, and I've been shoveling coal ever since. And after 9 years and one heck of a ride, man, you couldn't drag me off this train for these final 13 days for nothing. I don't care if I have to, I'll get out and push. And everybody in this room, in this building, need to be in the same mindset. Because y'all, it's time to vote.
Yeah!
So do not, under any circumstances, let anything get between you and getting your vote counted. No, I don't care if you're a long-haul trucker or a long-distance runner. If you didn't go vote today, you better get out there and go vote tomorrow. Now I want to ask you something. Did anybody see that ball game in Texas with the Georgia Bulldogs? Now, did y'all see Kirby Smart wagging that finger at the refs? Now, if I see any of you that are on the did not vote list, I'm going to be wagging my finger at you, and you need to be doing the same thing with people you know. Now, if you want to be able to afford a house, you want a secure border, if you want to just send your kids to school and just let them learn and not get brainwashed, if you want the most expensive vehicle you operate to not be a grocery cart, then go vote. If you want the milkshake machine at McDonald's to be fixed and for Burger King to pay for it,
Yeah!
our country is trying to get back to doing the number one thing that Donald Trump said you never get tired of doing. That's winning. I mean, buying cars, going on vacation, buying houses, every American, black, brown, white, 2 college degrees, no degrees, Trump's policies lifted all boats. Everybody was doing better.
Yeah.
They're doing better than what they're doing now.
That's right. Sure.
And the other side, y'all, they don't want to run on issues.
No.
I mean, with liberal policies as bad as Kamala Harris, who would?
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you what they're running on. They're running on lies, smears, hate. The media and the left has spent 10 years trying to brainwash the American people into hating Donald Trump, a man that literally took a bullet for this country. And let me tell you something. Trump ain't running against Kamala Harris.
Now, Trump's running against a regime, a socialistic, big government, control everything about you, woke regime. These people want to destroy the culture and the fabric of our country. They hate Donald Trump so much. But let me tell you something. Trump loves our country more than that. Look, I'm gonna close real quick, maybe. Y'all, we're gonna secure that border. We're gonna stop American families from losing sons and daughters to illegal, that's right, illegal aliens who are invading our country. We're gonna stop the gangs, the fentanyl, the sex trafficking, everything that outside invaders are doing to destroy America. We're going to stop the destruction of our country with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance in the White House and an America First policy that will have us back this morning.
Từ đâu quên?
Put on notice real quick. Let me tell you something. You in this country illegal? Pack your bags. Come January, you going home. I'm asking you to hunker down. Let's hunker down these last 13 days and do your part. Chase those ballots. Get your family, get your friends to the polls and get them to vote. Get involved with Turning Point. Get involved with the Trump campaign. Folks, you do that, we work hard, we're going to win November 5th. And by God, we will take our country back.
Woo!
Give a warm welcome to Commissioner Tyler Harper.
Binhvo! Binhvo! Yeah! What's up, Georgia? Yeah! Who's ready to send Donald Trump and J.D. Vance to the White House on November 5th?
Yo!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is an important election. I know all of you know that. The White House runs right through the middle of the great state of Georgia. And it's incumbent upon every one of us to get excited. It's incumbent upon every one of us to ensure we get out every Georgian to get to the polls between now and November 5th to secure their ballot, to lock in their vote for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance to get our country back on track. You know, as the Commissioner of Agriculture in the great state of Georgia, I get to work with some of the greatest people in our state. Working with farmers and farm families and producers, but at the same time working every day to protect every Georgian, every consumer, every single day. But right now our farm families have been struggling. Under the Biden-Harris administration, net farm income since 2022 is expected to decline almost 43%. That's going the wrong direction. That means the retail dollar back to the family farm, it continues to decline. That means our family farm operations and agriculture can't be successful. I don't know about you, but agriculture is national security, period. Providing our food, our fiber, our shelter for us every single day is a vital component of our nation's national security, and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance understand that. They know that it's critical for America to be safe, to be independent. To be an America First nation means putting agriculture first. Under the Biden-Harris administration, we have the largest agriculture trade deficit we have ever seen. It's expected to be over $42 billion if we continue down this track by 2025. A negative trade deficit in agriculture. That means we're importing more food than we're producing for ourselves. That means our nation is heading down the wrong path. That means we're heading down a path of insecurity. The future of America rests in our ability to protect agriculture. Donald Trump understands that. J.D. Vance understands that. Under their administration, we had tremendous success in the world of agriculture. We were able to ensure that farm families were able to be successful. We secured our border. We understood that America First policies ensured that America continued to be successful. And it's incumbent upon us to do that every single day. As part of our nation's national security, we've done some things for that right here in the state of Georgia. This past session, and I was a big proponent of this, and it was a priority of ours to get this across the finish line. It is now law in the state of Georgia. If you are an adversary of the United States, you can't buy ag land in the state of Georgia no more. Woo! Those kind of policies that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance understand we need to be implementing on a national level. Because if you're an adversary to the United States, you need to sit in your place. You need to understand that your position in the world economy is something that America is going to come after to ensure that we continue to be safe, we continue to be secure. And we're doing that right here in the great state of Georgia. You know, when it comes to the food supply chain, and I'm going to read this off because I want to make sure I get the words right. A loaf of bread costs 50% more today than it did before the pandemic. Ground beef is up almost 50%. Those are the exact words of Vice President Kamala Harris. Well, who's been in office for the last few years? Why is ground beef prices high? Why is the loaf of bread price high? It's because of the policies that they've implemented. And it's incumbent upon us to ensure that those policies don't stay anymore. And on November 5th, with your help, we can send their policies back packing. We can clear the White House and the federal government of the policies that don't make sense. We can ensure that we protect America. We can ensure that America's stance on the national stage and the world stage is as vital and crucial as it ever has been. And we can ensure that agriculture is national security and will always be national security. I don't know about y'all, but I'm pretty excited. I'm ready. On November 5th, we're going to win, and we're going to send the Biden-Harris administration packing. Yeah! And we're going to ensure that America is secure. We're going to ensure that we're secure. We're going to ensure that we're be successful at the same time. God bless you for what you're doing. God bless every one of you for your patriotism. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the work that you're doing to get Donald Trump across the finish line. We're going to end this. We're in this together. We're going to make this happen. Y'all help us work through it. Y'all keep plowing all the way to November 5th, and I'm going to keep plowing with you. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon. God bless you. Thank you.
Please welcome Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Jesus is Lord, Christ is King. Don't disagree with me. I'm not going to tell you to go to the rally down the street. We're not throwing you out, but Kamala Harris will. Let me tell you, that should have been the message heard to every single American citizen that is voting in this election. When Kamala Harris went off script, when there were two people in her rally that proclaimed Jesus is Lord, Christ is King, while she was talking about abortion, the murder of the innocent, most innocent people among us, she threw them out and told them to go to the Trump rally. You want to know what that
You want to know what that meant? She doesn't want your vote if you're a Christian. And if you're a person of faith, a believer in God, or a Christian, you can't vote for a Democrat. You can't vote for Kamala Harris. She doesn't want your vote. True. Oh, I love Trump too. You know, on my way over here, I watched a video. I watched Kamala Harris standing at the Vice President's residence in Washington, D.C. at a podium with the Vice President's seal in her official capacity. And she was giving a speech and she was calling President Trump a fascist. She was calling him Hitler. And she was referring to a piece in The Atlantic where John Kelly supposedly, after 5 years of not saying anything, decided that 2 weeks before the election, he would come out and say things that Donald Trump supposedly said in office. These people are all the same. It's the same playbook. It's the same game. It's the same garbage. It's the same media. It's the same mainstream fake news crap that we've been hearing for 8 years now. And Kamala Harris claims she has the audacity to lie to the American people and say that Donald Trump would turn the military on the American people. That Donald Trump would weaponize the power of the federal government against its political enemies. But let's be very clear. I'll be like Kamala, let's be clear. You know, I will be clear. There is only one regime that has turned the federal government against its political enemies, and that is the Kamala Harris regime in power, and Steve Bannon is in jail right now. Well, he's getting out next week. I can't wait to watch.
Yeah! We can wait.
On January 6th and happened to walk through open doors in the Capitol in Washington and walk back out, Donald Trump will be the only one that will pardon these people. This is the election of our lifetime, ladies and gentlemen. But let me boil it down for you, for all of us in Georgia. This is extremely important. Here's our job. We show up and we vote. Look, you may not like the battlefield. I don't like it either. You may not like the playing field that we have to play on right now, but I'm going to tell you, I will never sit it out. And I don't want any of you to sit it out either. So you have to make sure that you vote. And then you have to go further. You have to have those uncomfortable conversations with people that aren't sure they want to vote. For someone in your family or your friends or your neighbors that aren't sure if they can pull that lever for Donald Trump, you have to have that conversation. I can't do it for you. You have to do it. You have to get them in there to vote, and then let me tell you what you do. You mark those selections on the machine. You vote for Donald Trump. You vote for Marjorie Taylor Greene for Congress.
Yeah! Woo!
When your ballot is printed, you check it carefully and make sure it says what you selected. Then you turn it in and you get your pretty little I voted sticker that has a peach on it and you wear it proudly. That's what we're doing. This is how we're going to win, and we're going to flood the polls and make sure that we get Donald Trump over the finish line. If you live in Georgia again in 2026. You want to know why? Our entire government slate is on the ballot. Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Secretary of State, and we need a new one. We also have a United States Senate seat that will be on the ballot in 2026. So what we're doing here, this machine that we're building to save America, what we're doing on November 5th in this election, here, if you live in Georgia, you're going to join me and we're going to do the same thing to stop the Democrats from turning our state blue in 2026. Turn it blue, and we are not going to allow the Democrats to take our home state, just like we are going to take back Washington, D.C., we're going to take back the federal government, and we are going to save America on November 5th. Vote for Donald Trump.
Wow, full à.
When I hold gold in my hand, it feels right to me. I've looked at a lot of gold companies, and there's one. I have a deep fear that globalist bankers may turn it into the regional consumer just because they're conservative. That's not what we need to see. Gold. There's only one man who can save this country. That's Donald Trump.
Donald Trump is going to be the nominee. He's a terrific president. I want to call him a friend. And we have to get him back in the White House, period. Now, welcome Seth Dillon.
Woo!
Have you guys heard of the Babylon Bee? Well, I'm the CEO of the Babylon Bee. We are the world's most trusted, factually accurate news source. We have now surpassed The Onion. We're actually the second most popular satire site in the world now, just behind CNN.com. And you know, people think our job is easier than ever because of how insane the world is. And I have to correct them when they say that they're wrong. Our job is not easy. We have to exaggerate what's going on in the world, and how do we parody that which is the parody of itself? The world has gone completely insane. It's too absurd to be satirized. I try to put it in terms that people can relate to. Maybe this will help. Imagine if your job is to write jokes that are funnier than
Hôm nay cái stadium này ở khoảng 15.000 người thôi quý vị. Nó không có được lớn giống như outside. Outside có thể sức chứa có thể lên 100.000 người, nhưng mà inside này là nó số lượng bên trong bao nhiêu thì nó chứa được bấy nhiêu thôi quý vị. Nó không có cho over được. Nhưng mà số người nó đứng bên ngoài còn nhiều lắm.
But yeah, our job is more difficult than ever. In fact, it's difficult to the point where our jokes keep coming true. We have over 100 jokes that we've told that have come true as if they were prophecies. That's how insane the world is. We told a joke about how the only people still wearing masks at this point are probably just super ugly. And then a study came out 2 years later that said unattractive people are more likely to wear masks. I always have to scan the room after I say that just to see. I don't see a single mask in this room. A lot of beautification.
Woo!
It is true, though, that the world is insane. It feels like we're living in a South Park episode, doesn't it? We have Riley Gaines is coming. Riley Gaines is an American hero. She's going to be speaking here in just a bit. She's dealing with this madness. You know, we have men dominating women's sports right now. That bothers some of you. There are some women in the room. I'm not a biologist, but I can see and think that there are some women in the room. But we have men dominating women's sports. You know that, by the way, that issue could end tomorrow if women decided to end it. If they refused to compete against men, it would end overnight. But that's what it takes. It takes bold, decisive action. It takes a willingness to sacrifice something. It takes standing on the truth and being unwilling to compromise. We have to restore sanity in this nation. And to do that, we have to elect the right leadership. We have to elect Donald Trump.
Yes.
We have to safeguard speech, too. You know, this is the fight that we've been involved in. I don't know if you guys have followed the battles that we've been going through with censorship, but we've been fact-checked so many times. They keep rating our jokes false. Jokes like Ninth Circuit Court overturns death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Or CNN purchases industrial-sized washing machine to spin the news in before publishing it. It's nuts. But they've also tried to censor us for hate speech. And it's not that they actually have a problem with hate speech, they just hate speech. We need leadership that will safeguard speech. We didn't have these threats to this extent when Trump was in the Oval Office. We need to bring him back so that we can safeguard the rights that are under threat, that are under attack. Life, liberty, truth, goodness, beauty, all of these things are under assault. And how do we do that? How do we win? I think one of the things that was most alarming that I saw recently was this study that came out from Barna. Did you guys see this study that showed, maybe some people have talked about it already, I'm not sure, but 32 million church-going Christians are unlikely to vote in this election. Let me say that number again, 32 million. You know the last election in 2020 was decided by thousands of votes, not millions of votes? This election is ours if Christians will do their duty and elect the right leadership. And the reasons, the two primary reasons that Christians have cited for why they're sitting this one out is because they're disinterested in politics and they dislike the candidates. And these are terrible excuses. You know, policy matters so much more, infinitely more than the person. Policy is what matters. You know, Trump overturned Roe. Kamala Harris wants abortion on demand throughout the pregnancy, maybe even a little after, without restrictions. We have a duty as Christians to fight for and defend that which is good and true. Lives are on the line. Our rights are on the line. Sanity is on the line. The truth is on the line. It's a spiritual war, by the way, for the ones who are disinterested in politics. Who cares about politics? This isn't a political battle that we're in. This is spiritual warfare. These are the forces of evil. These aren't minor political differences. The left is after our kids. They want to cultivate confusion in our kids, confuse them, and then castrate them, and mutilate them. These are the kinds of things that you do if you hate children and want them to suffer. If you love them and want them to flourish, you'll correct them and instruct them in the way they should go. They say evil prevails when good men fail to act. Usually that's something that they say in times of war, right, when there's actual physical conflicts. But it's just as true of political issues, political battles, spiritual battles, cultural battles. Evil prevails when good men fail to act. We need to stand up. We need to vote for freedom, for truth, for goodness. You have two choices as far as I can tell. Christians have two options. You can either vote for Trump or you can vote against Kamala Harris. What you can't do is sit this one out. Thank you, and God bless America.
Woo!
There's no guarantee of free speech on misinformation.
Oh, Carrie. Mình phản ứng của mọi người. Nah.
Give it up for Dow Bigtree.
If we're not allowed to talk about it publicly. So the First Amendment ends up being the most important. It's the reason it's the first one. And now we have an entire party running on the idea that you don't deserve to have your voice in this country. This became apparent to me. Have you guys heard of a guy named Robert Kennedy Jr.?
Yeah!
First he ran as a Democrat, but then there was no primaries. They actually made a rule that when we were campaigning in New Hampshire, that everyone that campaigned in New Hampshire, their votes would go to Joe Biden. They really did that. That was the rule. These people are out of their minds. When people say to me, oh, you say they steal elections, I'm telling you, the election was already rigged. We were going to have Bobby Kennedy. So once we realized there was going to be no primary, that we knew a man that was failing the White House, did not have the faculties to run this country, but no one was going to allow him to be replaced. I mean, think about it for a second. They could have had a Kennedy running the Democrats. Only one problem. He was saying he was going to clean up all the corruption in this country. He was going to clean up the regulatory agencies. He was going to kill our children. But the Democrats, they couldn't have any of that. So then he ran as an independent, the most successful independent campaign since Ross Perot. At our height, we were polling at 20 to 25%. But then the debate came along. And CNN, we started hearing that they weren't going to let Bobby Kennedy on the stage, even though he was polling high enough to be there. But I want to point out one thing. While that was happening, Donald Trump publicly and privately behind the scenes said Robert Kennedy Jr. should be on this debate stage. Americans can hear from everybody in the country, especially those that are driven to be able to talk and be able to talk about the issues we care about, but not the Democrats. They would never let him on the stage, and they made that clear. If Bobby Kennedy's on the stage, then Joe Biden will not be there. I believe this would have been a very different election. But when it came down to that moment, where President Trump looked away just for a moment, and then fully raised his ear, America turned a corner. It truly was a turning point. And Robert Kennedy Jr. said to us, I need to talk to him right away. And he called President Trump, and he said, look, first of all, no one knows more than I do what it's like to be through an assassination attempt. And I want to know, how is your family because I grew up after I lost my uncle and I lost my father, and I know how important this is to your family right now.
Sharon, come on.
President Trump said, I'm glad you called, Bobby. You know we have a common enemy. They're censoring you on Washington. They haven't let you on the debate stages. And on CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS, they're not letting you be heard. No one knows you're there because they don't want your voice in this, Bobby, but I do. And Bobby said, that's right. He said I've watched the same thing, Donald. As soon as I got on the ballot in all 50 states, all they did was start suing me. And they're suing you, which means we have a common enemy. And so those two guys began a conversation, and now they've come together. And for everyone out there that says that, oh, Trump's a dictator, how about a guy that's putting together the greatest team America's ever seen?
Woo!
That may not agree on everything, but he's willing to sit in the room. He's willing to listen. Because all the people that are a part of this administration that they're building right now believe in one issue for sure. Maybe they are one-issue voters. It's the most important issue of all. It's the one that our founding fathers signed their name in the Declaration of Independence and said, you know where we live. We would rather die standing than live on our knees.
Woo! Freedom! Freedom!
You got 2 weeks to make sure that freedom reigns. Thank you.
Woo! Freedom!
Please welcome Peter Navarro.
I know a little bit about freedom.
Yeah!
And what it means to lose it. Yeah, free speech, man. We got any working folks here? Any posse?
Woo!
I've had this dream about November 6th. And there's 2 things that keep coming to me morning November 6th. One of them, of course, is that Donald John Trump is our 47th president.
Yeah. Woo!
But here's the other thing. I want to read the paper and see it on the fake news. Make them choke this up. It was the youth vote put out by Turning Point that won the election. I'm an old guy. I remember Charlie Kirk, first time I met him back. I was with the boss in 2016 on the campaign trail, and I'm thinking, this guy is Sisyphus. You know that myth, pushing the boulder up the hill. How do you get college kids these days to vote Republican? Charlie taught us how. You're here, look at this. and when she wants to get a crowd and she breaks like people like that, right? We don't need to do that. We just have Charlie Kirk. And here it is, presto. All right, I've got some good news, but I got to ask for your help. And it's not good news for this country, but it is in a way, because we're about to have a turning point in this country. Are we? You know what that word means? Take that word literally. Take it literally. Turning point, change. Hey, we're about to turn our page on them. Close that book. How dare they talk about turning a page when they've been there for 4 years?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, I've been out there on the campaign trail with bus third, talking to folks, you know, grassroots stuff, love that stuff. There's 3 things I hear. This is bad news. America is in trouble. Is America in trouble?
Yes. Yes.
Second thing I hear is Kamala Harris is responsible for most of that trouble. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
The third thing I hear is that Donald John Trump is out of that trouble.
Yes.
Now, I'm one of those nerds and economists and things like that, but let me do some simple math for you. People are going to have 3 choices on election day and before, actually. They can either vote for the governor. They're going to vote for
Trump!
Or they're going to vote for Kamala Harris. And when I say the next one, you're going to move to left. They're going to stay home. You see, people think that's 3 choices, but what is? It's only 2.
Right.
Because if you stay home, that's a vote for Kamala Harris.
Yes.
Right? You with me? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. And the thing beautiful about these events is that there's thousands of people here, but there's thousands more watching this, okay? So let's do a little math. I need you to promise 2 things, right? One is everybody's going to go to the polls before Election Day. Will you promise me that?
Yes.
All right, now here's the hard part. You got to do this, okay? It's fun to come to these rallies. It's all good. We're having fun. When the boss comes on tonight, I was honored to be with him last night, watching the speech. Tulsi Gabbard comes on and says she's a Republican. I'm telling you, this man, who I love so much, who I've known so long, is in a state of political race right now. He understands his mission. His mission. He knows what to do. That's the beauty of this. He can step right into the Oval Office, and in 100 days, he can get done what he needs to do on inflation and the economy, on securing that border, on Gaza and Ukraine, on law and order. And I'm still looking. I've been all over this country. I'm still looking. I'm still trying to find that one person who supports transgender men in women's sports. Are you here?
Ooh.
I'm trying to find that person. How dare that party and the Democrats do that to a country when nobody supports it in the country?
Yeah.
Okay? But that thing you have to do for me, besides vote, is what? You got to get 10 people, family, friends, colleagues, to the polls. Will you do that for me? Come on, will you do that for me?
Woo!
Will you do that for Donald Trump? If you do that for me and Donald Trump,
Yeah.
you do that for yourself. You understand? That's why we're here today. We got less than 2 weeks. I know how this works.
Don't come up. I'll come to you.
Mission.
Maybe.
All right, my time is over. I'm going to do a little paid commercial now. I didn't get a dime for this. But if you want to know the real story of Kamala Harris, watch this documentary by Newsmax called Blind Ambition. Newsmax, Blind Ambition. It's the best thing out there. And those folks up there in the fake
Right.
news, that's the stuff that they're not telling
Good to see you.
Yeah, good being here. I just walked in. I didn't think I was going to be able to come.
Right.
But I did. Love you.
Look good. Yeah. Thank you. Woo! Woo! Love you too. Whoa, look at that food. Oh my God. Already full already.
Let's hear it for Riley Gaines.
President Donald J. Trump. I'm standing backstage over here and I listened to Peter. He said, I'm still looking to find one person who supports the idea, the absurd idea of putting men in women's sports. Well, Peter, I've got two for you. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Ooh.
Man, it's crazy to be on this stage. To be very clear, this is never where I saw myself, never a position I imagined myself in. I had no intention of being here. I was in dental school after college, hoping to become an endodontist, but by God's will and His favor, here we are. Our careers, men and women are different. Just 2 years ago, I was a college student studying and competing at the University of Kentucky. I very proudly finished my career as a 12-time NCAA All-American, a 5-time SEC champion, actually the SEC record holder in the 200 butterfly, making me one of the fastest Americans of all time. The list goes on, but again, just to reiterate, it really is a lifelong journey to be able to compete and ultimately succeed at the highest level. I could share my personal testimony of the events that led me to be here. I could tell you about how me and my teammates were robbed of a fair shot of winning a national championship. I could share the grotesque details of what it was like being forced to undress inches away from a 6'4" man who watched us strip down to nothing while he did the same, exposing his fully intact, naked male body. There are no words to describe the violation and the betrayal, the humiliation that we felt. Let me be clear, no one asked for our consent. We did not give our consent to be exposed and exploited to a naked man. This used to rightfully be labeled as sexual harassment. I could share how our First Amendment rights were violated at the institutional level and how our voices were stifled by the very adults whose job it was. Their most basic duty was to protect us. I could share all of that and more, but I'm not here to speak about me or even my own personal, on my own personal behalf. I'm here to speak on behalf of common sense, everyday Americans and Georgians who have had enough. What we experience and what girls around the country continue to face is antithetical to the progress Title IX made for women and girls over the past 52 years. Title IX is, of course, the federal federal civil rights law that at one point prevented sex-based discrimination for any educational program that receives federal funding. Title IX is no more under the Biden-Harris administration. What happened to us at that national championships? The unfair competition, the locker room scene, how our voices as women were effectively muzzled is what Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and the rest of the Democratic Party leadership calls progress. Let that sink in. Stripping women of our rights to oppose or even question out loud a naked man, fully intact with male genitalia, undressing inches away from where we were simultaneously unclothed is considered progress to Kamala Harris. I was thrilled to see President Trump and his Women's Town Hall with Harris Faulkner just last week declare that he would use his executive power as president to outright ban Bottom line is this shouldn't be a political issue. Your daughter's safety, your daughter's opportunities to achieve and succeed, it shouldn't be a political or controversial statement to say your daughters deserve privacy in areas of undressing. Yet unfortunately it is. We have an entire political party, at least in terms of elected representation, who believe you can change your sex as often as you change your socks. Recently in the U.S. House, the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act was introduced, and it fell entirely on party lines, meaning 219 Republicans voted in favor of protecting women and girls in sports, and all 203, every single last one of them, mothers and fathers of their own young daughters, all 203 Democrats voted in opposition of protecting women and girls in sports. And for women, they pride themselves on it. My question to Democratic leadership is how in the world can you claim to defend what you can't even define? They say they are for women's rights. When they say that, understand they're talking about the woman's ability to dismember and abort a developing child in the womb. They use phrases like reproductive rights and healthcare freedom. Yeah, but where was that healthcare freedom during COVID? They didn't believe in injecting yourself with an experimental, ineffective vaccine that has zero credibility. School teachers, U.S. military members for not complying with their autocratic mandates. They don't believe in free speech. They don't believe in free expression. That's been made very clear by the compelled speech portion of Title IX. The government now gets to decide what is hate speech and what is misinformation. They don't believe in school choice. They don't believe in parental rights or the safeguarding of children. They don't believe in freedom, unless it is the freedom to murder a baby or the freedom to chemically or surgically castrate children. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she said it best in her State of the Union address response. She says the dividing line in America is no longer right versus left, red versus blue, Republican versus Democrat. The choice we have in 2 weeks is normal versus crazy. And the funniest part about it is they know that. The Democrats know that. Did you see Kamala's interview, of course, with Bret Baier, and even just yesterday with Hallie Jackson? When Kamala was asked and pressed about her transgender policy, she couldn't say what it entails. Well, let me answer for you because I know. What it entails is you, me, all taxpayers, all tax-paying Americans, we will pay for surgeries of people in prison who are trans, identify as trans, as illegals who are seeking these transgender surgeries. I hear people saying that they will be voting for Kamala Harris because she is a woman. Well, guess what? I am voting for Donald Trump because I am a woman.
Woo! Woo! Yeah!
and Tim Walz know it. We need to win back the White House, we need to win back the Senate, we need common sense, we need sanity, we need stability, we need strength, we need to fight, and we all need Jesus and His grace.
Yes!
Make America great again. Thank you guys.
Woo!
Welcome to the stage, Eddie Johnson.
Oh! Whoa! Woo! Danny! Woo! Ronaldo! Woo! Danny! Woo! Yeah! Hello!
Georgia has a fond place in my heart. It's a beautiful place. It's a red state. I don't believe it's the same state at all. It's a red state.
Yes!
And Georgia, I want to say thank you on behalf of the entire NFL for giving us the greatest mugshot in the history of the world.
Yeah! Woo!
Sorry, making waves in the audience. I'm not trying to get you too excited. They're going to jail, baby.
Woo!
Look what they tried to do to my boy. They tried to ruin his career. They went in and they said, this will ruin his career. We'll give him a money shot. What they ended up giving him was the cover of a rap album. That was the hardest track of the summer. Y'all see rappers actually getting this tattoo? Oh no, does anybody know someone with a Trump mugshot tattoo? This is a backfire. This is the biggest backfire in the history of politics. This Forgiato Bub right there, stand up, this rapper.
Woo! Wow! Forgiato! Woo! Woo! Forgiato! We go, man! Woo! 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 There you go! Woo-hoo! My man!
He's got this mugshot tattoo. It's massive. My wife wouldn't let me get one. I was going to get it. We should force Tim Walz to get one of those.
Woo!
Tucker Carlson's backstage. He has to take some Tim Walz. Got any Christians in the audience? Here's the point. This is the point. What man intends for evil, God intends for good. It's what's been happening to our boy God.
Yes.
The entire election cycle, they have tried to assassinate him. They tried political assassinations, Hillary Clinton, Russian dossier. They tried impeachment assassinations. They tried judicial assassinations. He's facing 400 years in jail. Some states tried to take him off the ballot. They tried to remove the capacity to vote for Donald Trump. That is itself a style of assassination. So when you vote Trump, vote twice as hard for those people that didn't want, the democracy defenders that wanted to take him off the ballot. Ladies and gentlemen, then they tried literal assassination. I see Brick Suit down here in the front row. But what? Man intends for evil, God intends for good. And what we ended up getting was something even more epic.
Yeah! Matano! Woo! 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 Yeah! French fries! French fries!
Hey, Pablo, would you like a side of lies with that? Pablo, here's lies about working at McDonald's. Anybody work fast food? Anybody work as a waiter? I sure did. Most Americans have. This is... What? Guys up there talking about special sauce. I got some special sauce for you, pal.
Yeah! Whoa! Whoa! Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Woo! Woohoo! Yeah! Woohoo!
Massive stadiums of people, which are all just too beautiful. Sent a very exclusive, very private screenshot of a photo of Kamala Harris on her birthday watching President Trump work the fries at McDonald's. Do you want to see it? This is not a great birthday.
Yeah! Man, yeah, woo!
How do you beat this?
Yeah!
Trump fixed the ice cream.
Woo! Woo!
Trump worked at McDonald's for one day, he fixed the ice cream machine, and now Joe Biden's wearing a mask.
Woo! Thank you!
Great for you some memes today. That's a lot of memes.
Thank you, President!
Not a meme. A real photo. Who wants a commander-in-chief who's a servant leader?
Yes!
That's what this is.
Woo!
Christian servant leadership is putting on that apron when you're a billionaire, getting your hands dirty, getting some of that salt, some of that grease on your skin. Who's been there? I've been there. Working like the common man. You know what that does? That gives us dignity. It says we are all created equal. God did create all of us here. There is no white or black America, red or blue America. There's just the United States of America. We're all together here. And we can all enjoy some delicious, salty, crispy fries served to us by our commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, as a servant leader. That's why the libs are freaking out over this. They can't conceive of ever stooping down to our level, ever doing real work like the common man. This is why they're losing their mind, because they know how much this connects. It connected so much, in fact, that RFK Jr., who's backstage, said, he told me right before I went on, he said this would be the only time he eats sea oils. as if Donald Trump sold Powerful. What's the alternative here, exactly? So what's the other side offering? Somebody yelled, "Christ is King," at Kamala Harris, and she said, and I quote, "Oh, you were at the wrong rally this week." Ladies and gentlemen, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. If you believe Christ is King, you're in the right house tonight.
Yeah! Woo!
Christ is King. 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 That's the difference. This is the difference, ladies and gentlemen. Any gun owners?
Yeah! Woo!
I get it that you're loading tampons into your shotgun.
Ha!
Are you trying to become a eunuch? Are these the three vasectomies I keep hearing about from the Democratic Party? Is this how it happens? Maybe this is why he can walk around. Good old tampon tip. So total frauds. Do not start a tampon tip. Do not. Although I will tell you, the greatest self-control I've ever seen in my life is the greatest self-control I've ever seen in my list, the J.D. Vance section up there. The greatest You know you're going to hurt his feelings, right? You know he has a $2,000 shotgun he's never fired, right? And he didn't get a single bird. Anybody ever gone pheasant hunting? Anyone gone hunting? He didn't get a single bird, didn't fire a single shot, loaded the shotgun in his crotch, and used tampons, I think, to load the shotgun. They're fraudulent. They're fraudulent. They're offering you an ideology that hates Christians, that hates Christ, and want to blow your balls off, I guess. That's a bad. Our guy is offering you crispy, salty deliciousness from McDonald's with a smile. As he raves. Including the man that's going to take us to Mars, including the man that's given everything for free speech.
Yes. Yes.
You got real joy, a campaign of joy. That's a campaign of joy.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
This is the movement of populism. Populism is popular.
Woo!
The reason why is because, correct me if I'm wrong, we're all Americans, damn it. This is our country. There's not going to be another one. We're Native Americans. We were born here. My granddaddies were born here.
Right.
That means it's our country, and they have no right to destroy it.
Woo!
Populism means protecting our borders. Populism means putting America first, and there's only one motivation that you need, ladies and gentlemen, to carry through the day, and I'll share with you. It's my motivation. It's my kids.
Yeah. Woo!
I got 3 kids, and that's my wife right there, Nurse Kate. We are going to repopulate America with patriots, baby.
Yeah! Woo!
I fight for my children.
Exactly.
My children are Americans. They
Exactly.
deserve this birthright.
Yes.
I fight for them. They're Americans, and a blessed generation leaves the country better off for their children.
Yes. Woo! Yes. Woo! Yes. Yeah. Whoa! Fight for children. Woo! Fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we are going to do. And I'll leave you with this. I'll leave you with this. All God ever asks for, he asked for this in the Old Testament. Sodom and Gomorrah was a place that, they'd had a very rough, bad go. And all God asked for, the angel of God asked for, is for good men and women to stand up. And he said, I will save your land. I will save your nation.
Land.
Will you stand with me and be seen tonight?
Yes. America. Thank you. Save America. Woo! Yeah, buddy. Woo! Yeah. Woo!
Chắc thấy mình không cái lại lại nhạc rồi.
Now joining us,
Còn nữa.
Dr. Ben Carson.
On January the 10th, 1963, read into the congressional record of our country, Congressman Herlong, the 45 goals of communism in America. And they were such things as gaining control of the public school system and the teacher union so you can indoctrinate the kids. Gaining control of the news media and Hollywood so that you can change the culture of America. Depressing the value of the family. Removing God from the public sector. Changing the churches so that instead of the real gospel, you have the social gospel. Come on. Making sexual perversion normal, natural, and healthy. All of these things are going on in our society today. There have always been those who have wanted to change who we are. But I gotta tell you, even though they say awful things about our country, they say we're systemically racist, we treat people inappropriately. If we were all that bad, why are all these people trying to get in here?
Right! That's right! Woo!
Those who want to change our country, particularly the leftists, the Marxists, they're so close right now. You know, Benjamin Franklin, when he came out of the Constitution Hall in 1787, he was asked, sir, what do we have here? A monarchy or a republic? He said, a republic, if you keep it. We've kept it for 248 years. We're very close to losing it right now, except our founders were very smart. They studied every civilization that ever existed, and they realized that people just don't have the ability to leave other people alone, and that governments are the same way, and that they grow, they infiltrate, and they dominate. They gave us a fail-safe. The fail-safe is we the people. That is what makes the difference.
Woo!
And What they put in our hands was the ability to vote. And to vote in an appropriate way. Not the way that a lot of people vote. They just look for the name that looks familiar. I mean, it could be Satan, and they say, I know that one. In many cases it is. So, obviously that's not the way to do it. But the reason that they're so desperate right now is because they're so close to pushing us over the edge. But that's also the reason that they are so afraid of Donald Trump. Because he knows who they are. He knows what they do. And they're desperate to get rid of him. One of the ways that they're able to get their way is by intimidating people and making people fearful. It sort of started with political correctness. And then it's morphed into wokeness. And now it's gotten to a place where you have cancel culture. And there are a lot of people who are afraid. So they think the right way, but they won't say anything. Because they don't want to be called a nasty name, they don't want to be canceled, they don't want their families to suffer any damage. But I have to tell you this truth. You cannot be the land of the free if you're not the home of the brave.
Thank you.
Guys, stand up for what you believe. That is so important. But after Trump wins on November the 5th, we have to remember that that's just the beginning of the fight. Because see, they're going to do everything they can to try to make it unsuccessful. But we're not going to allow that to happen. We are not enemies. We, the American people, are not each other's enemies, but they want us to think we are. And they drive wedges between us on the basis of race, age, income, religion, political affiliation, gender, you name it, they drive wedges. But we have to be smart enough to recognize that the one world government people realize that we are the one that's in the way. They can't overcome us militarily, so they're going to try to destroy us from within by attacking our families and our faith. But we know who they are and what they're doing, and we're not going to let it happen.
Yes!
My wife and I have visited 68 countries. We have lived overseas, and there is no place like America. We have the best country in the world.
Yeah, I have to get that
And we have to do what we can to make sure that we keep it. You know, it doesn't matter where your ancestors came from. England, Jamaica, Ireland, I heard somebody say, Africa. It doesn't matter where they came from. You're better off here than you would be there.
Right.
And one of the reasons that we have done so well is because we had a relationship with God.
Thank you.
Our very first document, the Declaration of Independence, said that our rights come from our Creator.
Yes.
Not from the government. The government can't take those rights away from us. Only God can. And think about what he has done. You know the story of the bullet push George Washington. They tried to kill George Washington in the Battle of Monongahela. They did not succeed. 59 miles away from there is Butler, Pennsylvania. Wow. They tried to get rid of Donald Trump and they did not succeed either.
Yeah! Yo!
As I've told them for the last 10 years, God put him here for a purpose.
Yes.
That's why they will not succeed. All the things that they have tried have not worked, and they will not work. And the way that we can make sure that they will not work is to make sure that we humble ourselves and pray and seek God and repent and move in the right direction.
Ông là một trong những người mà đáng lẽ được khích làm phó tổng thống đó.
Hả?
Một trong những người được khích làm phó tổng thống.
You know, some years ago, I was summoned to South Africa to try to help separate some conjoined twins who were deteriorating rapidly. And we were going to use the same technique that we used on the German twins before that. But when we got into the operation and opened the chest and revealed the heart of one of the twins, it wasn't working. And the reason they were deteriorating is because as they grew, the one had to do all the work. So one did not have any cardiac function. We got them separated. The other one was doing okay, so we were pleased with that. But after a couple of days, that one died because it didn't have any kidney function. One had the heart function, one had the kidney function. I was so bummed out. As I was going back home, I was saying, Lord, why did you get me involved in this? Anybody could fail. You don't need me to fail. I was feeling sorry for myself. But a couple years later, there was another step joined at the top of the head, facing in opposite directions, something we call type 2 vertical craniopathy. They had never been separated before successfully. But because we had put the team together and had all the equipment together for the one that did fail, that one was completely successful, and now they are adults who are perfectly normal. I say that to say this. A lot of people feel that what happened to Trump in 2020 was wrong. However, it prepared the way for a magnificent success right now. Make America great again.
Woo!
I'm gonna scream.
Introducing Tulsi Gabbard.
Cô này theo dân chủ 20 năm rồi.
Amazing. It is so inspiring and electrifying to be here with all of you here tonight. How many veterans or members of the military we got in the crowd? So we got 12 days and a wake up until election day. The heat is on. It's funny how crazy things have been and how much has changed. You know, I was a Democrat for over 20 years. The Democrat Party that I joined is completely unrecognizable today. I never would have imagined that we would have a Democrat Party under Kamala Harris that is anti-freedom. It's the party of war. It's the party of censorship. It's the party of open borders, and it's the party of poverty. Who would have thought that Kamala Harris and Dick Cheney would define today's Democrat Party? What's crazy to me is when Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney announced their endorsement of Kamala Harris, I thought, gosh, you know, the old Democrat Party would have said thanks but no thanks. Because we're a party of peace, not anymore. Kamala Harris, without even pretending
to care about peace shamelessly embrace their endorsements. And the endorsements of those who care more about power and feeding the war machine than they do about taking care of our brothers and sisters in Western North Carolina right now. It's outrageous to me that here we are 12 days out from election day and we have a presidential candidate who is celebrating sending hundreds of millions of our taxpayer dollars to help other people in other countries, supposedly help them, while turning her back on our fellow Americans who need help the most right now. We have friends who are veterans who are still out there in Western North Carolina, who are still getting out there to the small towns, who have not seen anyone from any government agency show up to help them. And their sole message to those who I met when I was out there and those who are coming and delivering whatever we possibly can to help them survive the cold at night, saying, please don't forget us. But that's what we have in the Kamala Harris presidency. If she were to be allowed to serve there as a person who doesn't care about us and who has forgotten the American people. Nothing short of freedom and our ability to live in a truly free and peaceful and prosperous country is on the line in this election. Never before have we seen a Republican pose a greater threat to the uniparty war machine in Washington than Donald J. Trump. And that's why they have been doing and are doing everything they possibly can to destroy him. First, to try to remove him from the ballot, then waging lawfare and weaponizing the Department of Justice and law enforcement at every level in a way that has never happened before in this country. Also that they could have this talking point to try to tell us, the American people, well, who are you going to vote for, a felon? They are doing this because he has the courage to take on and root out the deep corruption and rot that exists in the entrenched Washington establishment. And he's doing it for us. No matter what they throw at him, when you look at him, it seems like his resolve grows stronger and stronger. He is not backing down.
No. That's crazy.
So we face a pivotal time as Americans, regardless of anyone's political affiliation. The choice for us is very clear. We have a choice between a presidential candidate who has shown through her record that she would have a presidency of more war, and pushing us to the brink of nuclear war. She would have a presidency that is against free speech, not hesitating to use the levers of her power to retaliate against political opponents, as she has done with Donald Trump, as she has done with Bobby Kennedy, and she has done with me. They went so far as one day after when Kamala Harris was announced that she would be the nominee going forward to replace Joe Biden, I spoke out on Fox News about how dangerous that would be for us as Americans if she were to be the person with the nuclear codes. The very next day, I was placed on a secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. No explanation, no due process. It was federal air marshal whistleblowers who were so disgusted by being used as pawns by this administration who doesn't hesitate to abuse their power that they came forward and told the truth. This is what we need more of in our country. Now, for those of you who may have friends or family or co-workers, or those who you know in your lives who haven't made up their minds yet in this election, I encourage you to have those conversations. Listen to their concerns. Turn down all of the noise and the propaganda that is flooding the airwaves and focus on what is most important to every one of us. And that is our God-given rights and freedoms enshrined in our Constitution and Bill of Rights. The vision that our founders had for us, that every one of us as Americans has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is up to us to save our country. Every one of us as Americans. Our founders put in our founding documents that our government will not exist without the consent of the governed. When they wrote those words, "We the people," that is and was and always will be a direct call to action to every one of us to fulfill our responsibility as citizens in this country to defend our freedom. Because our freedom is on the line. So when we go to cast our votes, how many of you have already voted? So that means the work you got to do over the next 12 days is to find at least 10 people in your lives who have not voted, convince them
to
why
vote.
It is important to stand together to defend our freedom and vote for Donald Trump. And don't stop calling them until they tell you that they've actually voted.
Right.
Our ability to live in a truly free and peaceful and prosperous society is what is at stake in this election, and that affects all of us, no matter who we are or where we come from. There's no doubt in my mind that President Trump is our best and only hope in this election to lead our country, to save our country, and to save the world, bringing peace not only here at home, but abroad. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for freedom. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for secure borders and safe communities.
Yes, thank you.
A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for peace. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for every one of us as Americans to be able to stand strong and proud and recognize that in this country we are once again that shining city on a hill that is committed to our Constitution and our way of life.
Thank you. So good.
We've got 12 days and a wake up. When we listen to the bugle call of reveille that sounds on every military base across the country, first thing in the morning, and then later at the end of the day, marking the raising of the flag and the lowering of the flag. Those of you who have been on a military base understand that when that bugle sounds, everything stops. People walking down the street will stop. Cars driving down the street will stop. Everything stops for those moments because it's an opportunity for every one of us to reflect on what that flag means, to reflect on the lives that have been sacrificed, those who have paid the ultimate price to defend our freedom, and to never forget. So I encourage you, because it's easy to get caught up in the busyness of everyday life. It's easy to get caught up in the back and forth sniping that happens in our politics too much. It's easy to get caught up in the noise. It is critical for us to remain firmly rooted and grounded in our purpose and this no-fail mission that every one of us faces in this election, the most important election of our lives. That on those days when we may feel weary, on those days when your friends or your family may be spewing hate and criticism at you because of the position you have taken in supporting President Trump and defending our freedom in those days when it feels like it's just too hard. Think back to the sacrifices those before us have made so that we can gather here today in the greatest country in the world and work harder. We cannot rest until we do all we can to bring our country together around our shared ideals and principles. Vote for President Trump to send him back to the White House so that he can make America great again, and so that we can get to do the real work of making sure our government is once again of the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Woo! Thank you. Woo!
Anh cho bài vô em.
Give a big welcome to Robert Kennedy Jr.
Bravo! Woo! USA! USA! USA!
Chào đó, nhiệt liệt.
I was driving down here today from Atlanta, and I read an article from the New York Times. Bill Gates had just donated $50 million to Kamala Harris's campaign. And the article said that it was the first donation that he's made in 20 years. That he stayed out of politics, that he's been bipartisan. It was a dark money donation. He didn't intend for it to be public. He routed the donation to a 501c4, which was an organization that was set up to conceal large money donations to the Harris campaign. He said, when the Times asked him, he said he had donated zero. In the 2020 campaign, when President Biden was running against President Trump. And he said this campaign is different than any other. And so he felt the need to do this now. Do you think Bill Gates made that donation out of a patriotic impulse? Do you think he made it out of a humanitarian impulse? Do you think he made it because he wants global health? Or because he wants to make America healthy again? Well, there was something else, another article about Bill Gates that came out today that said he had just been indicted. United in the Netherlands for lying to the public about the COVID vaccine. You think that he wants to go to trial here in the United States of America? You think maybe that's one of the reasons he chose to give $50 million to Kamala Harris? Oh, I want to point out somebody who's in the audience tonight. She's a woman named Sherry Peebles. And Sherry, are you here? Will you stand up if I can point you out? Okay, so Sherry Peebles is an African-American woman who has a daughter, Shayna, a straight-A student. She missed 60 days of school because she was in a hospital, because she had sickle cell anemia. And her mom, Sherry, filled out all the forms, the federal and the state forms, explaining why she was missing her school. She did her schoolwork every day. She got straight A's, as I said. But Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of California. And Kamala Harris learned that the state was losing $1.3 billion a year because of truancy. And she said, I want that money. Oh, I'm going to start putting parents in jail whose children skip too much school. Oh, she arrested Sherry Peebles. The police came in and handcuffed her. And when she said, why am I being handcuffed? The police said to her, talk to Kamala Harris. They didn't want to be doing it either. She lost her job. She lost her home. And she still raised an extraordinary child. President of the United States who's going to end chronic disease rather than putting parents in jail? Oh, you want an America president who's going to make our country healthy again? I saw another posting while I was driving down here today that shocked me too, actually. One was of President Obama saying that he didn't understand. And he didn't understand where all the division was coming from and the polarization in this nation.
He created it!
And then there was another posting by Kamala Harris standing outside the Naval Observatory, which is the official residence of the Vice President of the United States, standing behind the presidential seal for our country, and comparing Donald Trump to Hitler. And saying that he was a fascist. And she based this extraordinary, irresponsible accusation on a story by John F. King, who was the director of Department of Homeland Security under Donald Trump, and is a former Marine general, and is deep into the deep state and to the intelligence apparatus in this country. Or John F. Kelly, I'm sorry. And Kelly told another story that Donald Trump had, during his presidency, Donald Trump learned that there was a Mexican-American soldier who had been murdered at Fort Hood, and that the Pentagon was refusing to pay her medical expenses, her funeral expenses. And Donald Trump said, if they won't do it, then I'm going to do it myself. And he paid her expenses. And in order to discredit this extraordinary gesture of love and generosity by the American president, a soldier who he had never met before, John Kelly invented a story that he had made an insensitive remark about Mexicans. Unfortunately for Kelly, there were 3 people in the room at that time who all said that Kelly was lying, and it was an outright fabrication. So, we need to wonder when Kelly invents this story and says that, where he said that President Trump wanted generals around the world like Hitler's generals, which of course he didn't say. We already know that Kelly is a liar. And that Kelly invented other stories that were derogatory about the president. And these are the kind of stories you're seeing from all the generals and the intelligence agents who do not want to see Donald Trump in office again. And we have now somebody who's running for the presidency of the United States, a vice president, who is repeating these irresponsible stories. And to me, that alone disqualifies her.
Damn! Woo!
Most Americans, when we were growing up, of my age at least, we were asked about this moral quandary of whether we would, if we could go back in time and kill a young Hitler, should we do that? And half the people say yeah, half maybe say no. But it's something that we all think about. And you think about how many unstable people there are in this country. And when you compare an American president to Hitler, you're pressing a button in those people. You make them act on those violent aspirations and impulses. And it's at worst, though, don't you want a president who's going to bring America together again?
Yeah.
You know, I left the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party left me.
Hey! Woo!
The Democratic Party that I grew up with was the party of peace. It was the party of constitutional rights, including free speech. It was the party of women's rights and women's sports. My uncle, Ted Kennedy, wrote Title IX to make sure that women could play sports.
Yes!
It was the party of cops and firefighters and working people. And it was the party that stood up to Wall Street, the big banks, big ag, big pharma, big food, and all of the other vested interests that have gained ownership of our government and have captured our agencies and made them predatory against the American public. And the Democratic Party today is the party of war. It is the party of surveillance, of censorship. You listen to President Harris boast about the people who are supporting her, who have flocked down the Democratic Party, people like John Kelly, people like Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney back in the White House?
Yeah.
And people like John Bolton. These are the people who wrote the Patriot Act. The act that launched the surveillance state, that launched the national security state, that introduced torture, and introduced surveillance, and allowed the CIA to spy on the American public for the first time in our history. They're the people who gave us the Iraq War, who lied to us in order to get us into the Iraq War. That war was the worst foreign policy blunder in American history. That war cost $4.3 trillion. And we killed more Iraqis than Saddam Hussein. We created ISIS. We drove 4 million refugees into Europe and destabilized every democracy in Europe for generations. Brexit is a direct result of that war. All the riots we're seeing now in European cities are a result of that war. The rise of totalitarianism across Europe, the end of free speech across Europe, is a result of that war. And don't you think we should have learned a lesson from that war? You think the Democratic Party learned that lesson?
No!
You think Dick Cheney has changed his opinion about the Patriot Act? No. He's changed parties because he thinks the Democratic Party is now the party of the neocons. It is the party of surveillance, of censorship, of war. And it's the party that is a cheerleader for big ag, for big pharma, for the people who are poisoning our children. The most existential threat that our country faces today is this chronic disease epidemic. When my uncle was president, I was a 10-year-old boy. 6% of Americans had chronic disease. 3% were obese. We spend $0 every year treating chronic disease. Zero. Today, 60% of Americans have chronic disease. About 70% are obese or overweight. Do you know how many people are obese and overweight in Japan? 3%. Same as here in 1963. But we have 70%. 77% of American kids cannot qualify for military service. The diabetes rates in our country have gone from virtually zero. When I was a kid, the average pediatrician saw one case of diabetes in his entire 50-year career. Today, 1 out of every 3 children who walk through his office door is diabetic or pre-diabetic. When I was a kid, and today, in 70-year-old men, 1 in 10,000 people have autism. Today, 1 in every 34 of our children have autism. 1 in every 22 boys. This is existential for our country. We're spending $4.3 trillion on chronic disease. That's 5 times our military budget. This is going to destroy our country unless we have a president who's going to end it forever.
Woo!
Every waking moment for the next 15 days and make sure that Donald Trump is elected president of the United States. When I was a kid, Republicans control all the money in this country. 70% of the wealth in our country was owned by Republicans, about 30% by Democrats. Today, 70% of the wealth is owned by Democrats and 30% by Republicans. There's been a total inversion of policy and of the constituencies of both these parties. The Republican Party has been become the party of of working people in this country. A month ago, I was with Charlie Kirk. Let's give a big hand for Charlie Kirk. He said Donald Trump ran all the billionaires out of the Republican Party, like Bill Gates. And yesterday it was announced that Kamala Harris has raised $2 for every $1 that has been raised by Donald Trump. That's because it's all coming from people like Bill Gates. And they have all the money now. But we have all the people. Like this. No way. We are going to win this by a landslide. President Harris said today in her post, in her speech, he said that President Trump was going to turn the U.S. military against the American public and use the public. How many of you think that is true? What's interesting to me is that the Biden-Harris administration has done something 2 weeks ago that has never been done in American history, which is to send legal force, to send a directive to the Pentagon, changing the law to make it legal for the U.S. military to use lethal force against American citizens on American soil. Technically, now it's legal for the U.S. military, under this directive, it will become legal for the U.S. military to shoot and kill Americans who engage in political protest because they disagree with policies of the White House. I'm not making this up. Anything can look it up. This is a Democratic initiative. This did not come during the Trump administration. This did not come from Donald Trump. It came from the Democratic Party. And that's why I left the Democratic Party.
Yeah! Woo!
Who's going to protect our Constitution? How do you want a president who's going to end all the foreign forever wars? How do you want a president who's going to stand up for free speech? How do you want a president who's going to stand up for the Bill of Rights? And how do you want a president who is going to stand up for the Constitution of the United States in every way?
Yes!
Don't you want a president who has the guts to stand up to the CIA?
Yes!
Who is able to stand up to the military-industrial complex?
Woo!
And the BlackRock. And the Bill Gates.
Yes!
And the State Street.
Yes!
And Anton. And Wall Street. And Big Ag. And Big Pharma. And Big Food.
And I can't believe I just spoke after Bobby Kennedy. So here we are, at an enormous Donald Trump rally less than 2 weeks before the presidential election. I'm following Bobby Kennedy Jr. And somewhere in a half-empty Union Hall in a cold state is Dick Cheney's creepy little daughter campaigning with Kamala Harris. That is a thrilling trade, as far as I'm concerned. I never thought I would live to see the day when Bobby Kennedy would be one of the most beloved figures in a room full of Republicans, and Mr. Burns from The Simpsons and his criminal daughter would be Democrats. It's just absolutely wonderful. So here's my perspective. I think Donald Trump's going to win. That's why I'm here. I'm not here because he's going to win. I'm here because I'm so thrilled by what I've watched over the past 9 years. This is the end of a redemption arc. I've really never seen anybody treated like Donald Trump was treated. Ever. Anybody. Ever. Attack him. I watched this all up close. Defame him. Indict him. Arrest him. Let him get shot in the face. And he's gonna win anyway.
Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Look at that! Woo! Woo!
The phrase triumph of the human spirit has been turned into a cliche by the people who write movie posters, but it doesn't make it any less real. Donald Trump's victory will be a triumph of the human spirit. It will be a triumph of Americans over the machine that seeks to oppress them. It will be a middle finger wagging in the face of the worst people in the English-speaking world. It will be a moral victory the size of which I never thought I would live to see. And it's essential. It is so important that that happens for a couple of reasons, and here's what they are. The first is to dissolve for all time, for the world to see, the primary lie about Donald Trump, which is that only freaks and misfits like him. That's a lie. And they've been telling that lie since the second he came down that escalator 9 years ago. If you like that, there's something wrong with you. You're the only person you know who likes that. You're a freak. Be ashamed. Do not talk about Donald Trump in public. Don't wear his dangerous little red hat. And if you're in the media, how dare you speak to him? And that was a lie from day one. It was a big lie. It was January 6th is an insurrection. What? It's the kind of lie that they tell relentlessly. They punish anyone who contradicts the lie because it is so preposterous it can only be upheld through force. And in the last 3 months, we have seen that lie dissolve like the Wicked Witch of the West under a bucket of water. Is this a room for the freaks and misfits? No, it's not. This is a room for people who love their country enough to obey its laws, who sincerely believe in its founding precepts, who pay their taxes, who go to work. The ever-shrinking percentage of Americans who work a 40-hour week, who expect nothing from the system, and who have given their lives for the system, who were born in this country and plan to die here. And they're the most mistreated group in this nation, and they're also the biggest group in this nation.
Yo!
Weird subculture of MAGA. They're America itself. The only people who are denying that are the freaks and the misfits, who it turns out are themselves a tiny, bizarre minority of folks. Who control the rest of us through fear and aggression. And that has ended. And it has ended thanks to the rogue stand that a couple of individuals have taken, first among them Elon Musk. basis of it.
Yes!
It's the First Amendment for a reason. It's what separates the free from the enslaved. Slaves are not allowed to say what they think. Free men have a God-given right to do so and will. And this is the only country on earth in which that is guaranteed. And without Elon Musk, it wouldn't be, because he stands alone as the owner of a media platform that is still open. There's only one, and it's X. It's the firm of Elon Musk. And then for him to come out, and by the way, just for the record, I've taken not $1 from Elon Musk, okay? It's not a paid advertisement, it's just an observation. And this is heartfelt gratitude. And when you see the richest man on planet Earth stand up there in a t-shirt and start jumping around on stage, he's also one of the biggest federal contractors. People say, oh, he's got FU money. No, it's just the opposite. There is no such thing as FU money. The more money you have, the more invested you are. There's only FU poverty, is the truth. And Elon Musk has more to lose than any living American by taking the position that he did, and he did it anyway. And so what's the message? If the person who's created the most, not just piles of cash, he's not Larry Fink, he's not worshiping money like our finance class, he's building things. And if that guy is for Donald Trump, and not only not ashamed of it, he's jumping around in a t-shirt, I can see his belly button, he's so excited. Woo! Then maybe I'm not alone. Maybe I'm not the freak. Woo!
Yo!
Virtually no viewers. A channel in which almost every single person has a personal life so grotesquely weird, if you knew the details, you'd call for their arrest. That's just true. And those people, the unhappiest people in this nation, are defining the terms of the conversation? I don't think so.
Woo!
Anyone who disagreed. But it's an illusion. It's the Wizard of Oz. And once you pull back the curtain, the only thing back there is Joe Scarborough. You're like, wait a second. He's a freak. I'm a normal person. And that realization has settled on this country. On the whole country. And you feel it. People are not afraid anymore. At all.
Woo! Yep.
My kids, you go!
Yeah! Woo!
That's embarrassing.
Yes.
It has flipped. The story the country tells itself about reality has flipped. None of the normal people are supporting the Democratic machine. Tim Walz is supporting the Democratic machine. A man you would never allow to babysit your own children.
Woo!
Of envy, of hate, of resentment, of bitterness, of weakness, of a total lack of creativity. It's a party of conformity. It's a party of the machine, where it doesn't matter who the candidate is because individuals are immaterial. All that matters is the collective. That's the Soviet model. And opposing them is the rest of the country, slowly waking up to the fact that these people have no moral authority whatsoever, they have no legitimacy in a democracy, where the government must rule by the consent of the government. They have no consent. And the way that they've treated this country over the past 4 years is the most shocking thing I've ever seen in 55 years. To allow millions of people, mostly young men with no skills and no English, into our country illegally, and then fly them around at our expense and give them phones and put them on welfare programs that no American citizen can get. It is the most insulting. That's the biggest crime in the history of the United States of America. Incredible gall for the people who did that to stand up there on the stage and give you a lecture about how you're immoral. It's too much. And so that's the second important thing about this election, okay? The first is every person in this room needs to understand you are not in a despised minority. You are an incredibly gentle and tolerant majority.
Woo!
They tore down statues to their memory. People never built anything in their lives. They went out of their way to humiliate you and spit on you and the graves of your ancestors. And that's not an exaggeration, they did. And then this country is so nice, it's so polite, it's so thoughtful and empathetic and sweet. It's the kind of country that loves dogs and gives directions to strangers. That we put up with for 4 years. But we can't anymore.
Yeah! Woo!
The first reason that we can't put up with it for 1 more minute is because it's just not justice. It's not. It's not justice. It's unfair. You cannot reward the most parasitic, useless, violent, nasty, aggressive people in your country. You can't
Right.
put them in your interest. You just can't. It's just wrong. In a fair, decent country, the people who work the hardest, who have the highest level of talent, who are the most creative, who are the most decent to their neighbors, who give the biggest tips to waitresses, those people should be successful. Those people should be revered. It shouldn't be that unfair. Are you joking? Come on, I should have a job. She has a huge skills.
Yes!
Where Kamala Harris couldn't change the tire on your truck, much less drive it. How did she wind up at the top of the pyramid? And then once she's there, she lectures you. Like you did something. It's too much. Can't allow that. It's an offense against the truth, against reality, and against justice itself. And the second reason you can't allow it is very familiar to anyone who has children. Which is, if you allow it, you will encourage more of it. If you allow people to get away with things that are completely over the top and outrageous, if you allow your 2-year-old to smear the contents of his diapers on the wall of your living room, and you do nothing about it, if you allow your 14-year-old to light a joint at the breakfast table, if you allow your hormone-out 15-year-old daughter to like slam the door of her bedroom and give you the finger, you're going to get more of it. And those kids are going to wind up in rehab. It's not good for you, and it's not good for them. No. There has to be a point at
Chưa gom đủ tiền cho nên chưa được hồi trước đâu em ơi. Woo! Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Woo!
He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children, they live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's going to have to let them know. He's going to have to get to your room right now. And think about what you did. And when Dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. Little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now.
Yeah! Woo!
You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl. And it has to be this way. It has to be this way because it's true. And you're only going to get better when you take responsibility for what you did.
Right!
That's not said in the spirit of hate. It's not said in the spirit of vengeance or bigotry. Far from it. It's said in the spirit of justice, which is the purest and best thing there is. And without it, things fall apart.
Thank you.
The Democratic Party machine, and notice I'm not beating up on Kamala Harris, who's just a hapless victim who happened to be there in the right colors like a rapper. Tim Walz, like he did some...
Woo!
Weak man. Because it is the party of weak men and unhappy women.
Yeah! Woo!
They weaken the men to drive the women insane to have the most consistent voting bloc ever in the history of politics. Unhappy women made unhappy by weak men. It could be anybody. It could be anybody. Kamala Harris is just a stand-in. She's a cardboard cutout. I mean, she has this whole God created her not attacking her for humanity. But there's nothing there. It doesn't matter. If it wasn't Kamala Harris, it would be, I don't know, Pete Buttigieg or whatever. Who are these people? They're the cutouts. They work for the machine. They're totally dispensable. They're replaceable. And they need to have limits set for them. And
Yes.
so on election day, and I sincerely believe Donald Trump's going to lose. And if I thought he was going to lose, I'd be ready.
Yes, we will.
I would. In fact, I would have been here earlier if I thought he was going to lose, just to make the point. I mean, I don't like people who jump on the winning train today. I think Donald Trump's going to win.
Yeah! Woo! He will win.
I think that the vibe shift has been so profound. I mean, the numbers suggest he's going to win. He's ahead in all 7 battleground states. But much more important, and the early voting seems to be favoring him. But more important, even than the conventional political markers, is what you smell around you. And it's the return of freedom.
Yes.
It's the return of the country drug bill.
Right.
Where you can say things like, I like that guy, and maybe you like the other person, that's fine. That was not allowed for 9 years. And it's allowed now. And I think, and it's because of what they did, they deserve this.
Right.
But I think the vibe is so strong right now,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think we can get away with pretending
No.
something else happened. I don't think we can have another 2020. That's when it is.
Yes.
Where they hid relevant facts from you, they prevented you from knowing about their candidate, and then claimed victory. Or 37 billion votes, or whatever they claim you got. That's rigging the election.
Yep.
Period.
Yes.
If the government prevents people from knowing critical information about a candidate, they have rigged the election. And they did that.
Yes.
Period. Oh, you're not allowed to say it. You're not allowed to say it because it's 100% true. And every person who hears it knows it's true, including the people who did it.
Woo.
I don't think they can do that again.
No.
I don't. And I don't think, no matter what they poll 2 weeks from now, 13 days from now, I don't think they can get away with standing up and being like on MSNBC. No, actually, Kamala Harris is saying this really popular, it turns out. Nobody's never had a job who can't even pronounce your own first name consistently. That's a false.
Dude.
Someone who grew up in Montreal, Canada is lecturing me about America. Okay. I don't think they can do that. Because I don't think people are going to sit back and take it. I don't.
No.
It's enough. It's enough. That's the point at which you say no. I'm sorry. I put up with this crap for a long time. I indulge your little fantasy. It's like when your teenage girl becomes a vegetarian, you're like, okay, yeah, well, okay, fine. No, I totally understand. You're like, it's a phase. But if that phase goes on for 9 years, it includes destroying your major cities and allowing your country to be invaded by millions of foreigners and identities you don't know, and its purpose in this country is unclear, by the way. Why should we feel threatened by that? If they go out of their way to crush families, to make it impossible for your kids to buy a house, and getting involved in the sex lives of your children, which they are, if they do all of that, they need to lose. And if they
Dude.
tell you they've won, no. You can look them straight in the face and say, I'm sorry, Dad's home, and he's pissed.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you, Constitution. Thank you. Woo! Thank you. Look at that. Thank you.
Cái buổi rally ác đi luôn quý vị. Tuyệt vời, quá tuyệt vời luôn.
Let's hear it for Charlie Kerr.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Woo! Woo! Woo!
voting members out of this state? Who has voted already? Raise your hand if you voted already.
Yeah!
You are living through a once-in-a-generation realignment, where it is no longer Republican versus Democrat. It's no longer the traditional dividing lines of a generation prior. You've seen tonight something remarkable. You saw two people who ran for President of the United States as a Democrat, endorse Donald Trump, and be here as our movement accepts them warmly. They say Donald Trump is the best at deals the world has ever seen. And just look at this deal. We get Tulsi Gabbard and Bobby Kennedy, they get this change. We get Elon Musk, they get Adam Kinzinger. You can have the warmongers of a generation prior, while we diversify, deepen, and strengthen our movement to include people that otherwise would never have been part of the Republican Party. Who here is a former Democrat? Raise your hand. Look at that. And by the way, you are all welcome in our movement. And many of you know, I visit college campuses, so you don't have to. Just yesterday, we were on the campus of University of Georgia. It was so amazing. Off to the side, there was this sad, pathetic display of misfits. 5 people at the Harris Wall Street. And just feet away, we had 5,000 students. Never before has conservatism, the ideas of freedom, liberty, American exceptionalism have been so popular on these college campuses. You see, they're feeling what you're feeling, but even more so. This is the most depressed, sick, medicated, anxious generation in history. They are the first generation since George Washington to have their life and their standard of living worse off than their parents. This is a broken social contract, and how many of you feel as if the DC political class has forgotten the college students that I'm talking to, when they hear Kamala Harris continue on her diatribe of nothing, they recognize and realize that the DC political elite has failed them for one exception. That there were new wars under Bush, new wars under Obama, and new wars under Biden, but for 4 years there were no new wars. And that the last 4 years people have been getting poor. In Atlanta, in order to buy a home when Donald Trump was president, you need to make $75,000 a year. Now, it requires $135,000 a year,
Whoa.
and interest rates are near 10%.
Right.
And understand, this is intentional. They're trying to create a nation of renters, because when you rent, they can control you. When you own property, you're a free citizen. They can't tell you what to do.
Woo!
In order to create more conservatives and more people love the country, you need to have the 3 M's. Young people need to get married, they need to mate, and get a mortgage. The 3 M's are 3 things the Democrat Party is against. They do not celebrate marriage. They certainly do not celebrate having children. They had an abortion truck at their national convention, and they're making it harder than ever to buy a home. Donald Trump is running on a once-in-a-generation campaign to revitalize the American dream for a generation that has been mortgaged by the DC political class over the last 50 years. And where we are right now in Georgia will determine the future of America. You see, we are doing exceedingly well with early voting right now. And this is a very important distinction. Election day is the last day of voting. We have 12 days of voting left in this state. We have days of voting still to remain. So those of you that have already voted, you need to go find a low propensity voter, someone that is a little shaky about voting, and get them out to the polls. You have 12 days to outvote the Democrats, and that is my main message to you here. Do you really think after they tried to put Donald Trump in prison for 700 years, they tried to assassinate him a couple times, impeach him a couple times, that they're going to roll over in the next 12 days? You think they're going to hand us the keys to the White House?
No.
What Tucker said is correct. The early voting numbers are good. The voter registration numbers are good. We draw crowds 10 times, 100 times bigger than them. But you're trying to tell me that John Brennan and James Comey and Clapper and Susan Rice and Barack Obama are just going to say, you know what, we're 12 days out. Go have the White House back up. Limit it up. Instead, you must be on guard. In fact, you must be vigilant that these people are going to try something in a panic, despair, the likes of which we've never seen, because they know that their time is running out. They know the American people are ascendant and that their time will soon come on November 5th. So what does that mean? You can smell it in the air. You can smell the panic. You can smell the desperation. You can smell the disgust of what they see coming forward. And the thing that scares them and terrifies more than anything else, is that we not just vote, but we get new people to go vote, and we chase every single voter in this state, and in Arizona, and in Nevada, and in Pennsylvania, and in Carolina, and Wisconsin, and in Michigan. You see, you're going to be able to tell your kids and your grandkids about this moment. You're going to be able to tell them about the moment that you were in Georgia, and the entire country was put in jeopardy. You are going to be able to tell them about when the Constitution was put in suspense. And that is why this election feels bigger than any other election in the country. Because it's not just a typical corporate tax rate debate that we have enjoyed. Instead, it is so much bigger. It is civilizational defining. And you need to go to every single person you know and say, are you voting for Trump? I don't know if I'm going to vote. You have to repeat this. You say, no new wars, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, largest deportation effort ever, drill baby drill, death prices low, the Supreme Court Constitution, Supreme Court justice and all the change. Define the future of our republic. And that is why you are here. That is why you waited hours and hours and hours to get into here. And that's exactly what we're doing at Turning Point Action. To register new voters in states that are still registering voters, like Michigan, the same-day registration. And as I travel the country, I'm doing this on college campuses, I can feel a surge, the likes of which was even greater than 2012. The likes of which that was even greater than 2016. It is a citizen-led movement, and let's just remember what we have been through. The forces of darkness have tried everything they possibly can. And what does success look like? It looks like no matter what you throw at this movement, no matter how much you tar and feather us, smear, slander, call us names, cancel us, call us a racist, or try to put our candidate in jail, that we understand that this is a different type of divide. This is the citizens of the country, who we own the country, not them.
Yes!
We own the country.
Right!
We're in charge, you in trust. And we are willing to send a message. And Donald Trump is a metaphorical, you heard that media? A metaphorical tomahawk missile against the DC ruling regime to send our
Woo!
still voting Trump after all these things. It's because of all of these things that we're still voting for Trump.
Yes.
Look at a man who refuses to give up. They said, well, is this someone that you want your kids to grow up and to look up to? I say, yes, I'm going to tell my son that in the line of fire, that if you ever think as if things could ever get dark and you rise and you say, fight, 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 I want my son to be like that one day.
Right. Fight, fight, fight.
He keeps on fighting for you, where he has nothing to gain and everything to lose, to get into the arena. There has never been a candidate in modern American history that has lost so much for something that did not benefit him, but instead put you in the room. That is why they are so anxious and earnest. I'm not going to stand.
Woo! Yes.
They are popping pills at Pfizer that Bobby Kennedy might run the FDA and the CDC.
Woo! Yeah! Woo!
They're trembling like a leaf. The Tulsi Gabbard might go in and expose the fraud of us sending $200 billion to Ukraine while our border remains wide open. The government gangsters, as Captain Patel would put it, that have robbed us blind, they're starting to get really nervous saying, is Elon Musk really going to come in and look at our budgets? Oh, you better believe Elon Musk is going to come in. It is from people that have gained so much in the system and have bottom up, and the only people supporting Kamala Harris are the ones that are happy robbing more from you and covering up for their crimes. Let me say that again. The only people supporting Kamala Harris are comfortable robbing more from you and covering up for your crimes. For 50 years, this part of America has grown poorer, while the Kingdom of Washington, D.C. has grown infinitely richer. The wealthiest counties in America are all centered around Washington, D.C. And the heartland of this country, and the industrial base of this country, where the muscular class built this country, have seen their jobs shipped over to China, and we got a bunch of opioids in return, and piles of plastic, and deteriorated neighborhoods that we no longer recognize. And in a series of events that only God can orchestrate, in a series of events that only our divine Father could put together, the most unusual set of circumstances is that a billionaire from New York had to get in the arena to tell the other billionaires that have been robbing you, the game is over, you're fired, and the American people...
Woo! Thank you! Woo! Beautiful! Yeah! Woo! Thank you!
State that loves God and loves Jesus.
Yes.
There is my biggest concern in this election. It is the faithful, it is the pastors that are not engaging right now in this election. We have 12 days left, and you need to lovingly challenge pastors that are silent, that you have a biblical obligation to engage in this election, that you have a biblical obligation to fight evil and to exalt righteousness. For one other reason, there are 320,000 missing kids on the southern border right now, which is modern-day slavery, and Donald Trump is putting an end to it. Donald Trump is the most pro-life president in American history, as he's responsible for the murders of Israel versus way more guns in Jerusalem, and more than anything else, everybody, is on the other side. The Democrat Party supports everything that God hates. The Democrat Party is espousing the death of the unborn, the mutilation of our teenage kids, open borders, the destruction of our sovereignty, the elimination of our currency status. I believe there is a spiritual battle happening on all of us, but don't expect a spiritual victory if our own pastors do not engage. Right now, this state is a Christian state. I want to see that to continue. But we need the faithful. We need those of you that have influence over your congregation to put pressure on your pastors. That listen, if you're a pastor watching this right now, I hope this touches you. I hope you, and look right in the camera right now, I hope you give a Sunday sermon and you talk about how the Democrat Party.
Yes! Woo!
CNN play.
Yeah! Woo! Woo! Thank you! Woo! Thank you! Look at that! Thank you! Woo! Thank you cả nhà nha. Bây giờ mình sẽ ngưng lại bây giờ chút xíu nữa là live trực tiếp cho Tổng thống ra nói chuyện nha. Đúng 7 giờ 30. Ok quý vị, bye bye quý vị. Bye bye nha, hẹn quý vị sau nha. Tạm biệt.